Chapter 1107. Nangong Lan was filled with regret when she saw the blue wand's power. She never expected that the bird would have the power of a venerable one. If she had known, she would not have given it to Yin Luofeng. That's right, in Nangong Lan's heart. Yin Luofeng only had the chance to obtain this spiritual beast because she had given it to him. Let's attack together and subdue this spiritual beast. Master Wu looked at Nangong Qing and said. Nangong Qing sighed helplessly and finally joined the battle. No matter how powerful a spiritual beast was, it could not possibly deal with opponents of similar power at the same time. Hence, after a few rounds, she had already fallen into a disadvantageous position. Lin Ruobai hugged the tree in her arms tightly and stared vigilantly at the people from the three great families. She carefully retreated, but there was already an ice-cold wall behind her. She had nowhere to retreat to. Is that thing in your arms very important to you? Nangong Lan glanced at Lin Ruobai's cautious movements and asked with a cold smile. Lin Ruobai's body stiffened and she hugged the tree even tighter. This was a gift she had given to her master. She could not give it to these people. All of you attack. Capture that damn girl and crush the thing in her arms. Nangong Lan raised her hand and ordered coldly. In an instant, the people from the Nangong family pulled out their weapons and swiftly attacked Lin Ruobai. When the blue wand saw that Lin Ruobai was in danger, it instantly let out an angry cry. It wanted to get rid of these people and save Lin Ruobai as soon as possible. Unfortunately, these people surrounded it from both sides and prevented it from reaching Lin Ruobai's side. Master, quickly escape. Quickly find Sir Luofeng and leave. The blue wand's expression was filled with sorrow, and its crisp voice was filled with despair. At this moment, the guard arrived in front of Lin Ruobai. Lin Ruobai hugged the withered tree tightly and leaned to the side to avoid the fierce attacks. Because she was hugging a tree, she could not use her hands to attack and could only dodge the weapons. A guard took advantage of Lin Ruobai's dodging and snatched the withered tree from her hands. He threw it fiercely on the ground and stabbed the withered tree with his sword. No! Lin Ruobai's tearing voice echoed through the entire street. She charged towards the guard as if she had gone mad. Give it back to me! Give it back to me! Bang! Unknowingly, Nangong Lan had appeared beside her and kicked her waist, sending her body flying. Lin Ruobai spat out a mouthful of blood and stared at Nangong Lan with bloodshot eyes. If it was in the past, Nangong Lan would not be able to hurt her. But now, Lin Ruobai's mind was already filled with rage, to the extent that he couldn't see Nangong Lan's movements. Since you like this tree, I'll destroy it. Nangong Lan sneered, and a fireball gradually rose from her hand. Destroyed? Lin Ruobai's pupils constricted when he heard this. At the same time, Nangong Lan's fireball was already flying towards the withered tree. No! Lin Ruobai suddenly got up from the ground and quickly dashed towards the withered tree. The moment the fireball entered the withered tree, she raised her hand and pulled the withered tree into her embrace. Damn you! No one could touch what she wanted to give to her master. Nangong Lan was a little surprised. She looked at Lin Ruobai in shock. She seemed to have discovered something unbelievable as her eyes widened in shock. Chapter 1108. You're an advanced heavenly spiritualist? Advanced heavenly spiritualist? The people around Yin Luofeng were also abnormal. If not for Lin Ruobai's mind being on the withered tree, she would not have been able to sneak an attack on her. This withered tree is a gift from me to Master. You actually want to destroy it. You deserve to die. Boom! Lin Ruobai's killing intent surged. Powerful spiritual energy spiraled above her head, forming a whirlpool. Elder, Nangong Lan felt Lin Ruobai's aura and her expression changed. Save me. This time, not only did the Nangong family's elder move, even the people from the other two families collectively attacked Lin Ruobai. Poof! A fist suddenly landed on Lin Ruobai's back. Her body quickly moved forward. A mouthful of blood sprayed out, dyeing the front of her clothes red. These elders' strength was also at the venerable realm, and with so many of them, no matter how strong Lin Ruobai was, she would not be able to deal with so many elders. So, she only used all her strength to protect the withered tree in her arms. At this moment, there were already many people surrounding them. They did not know what had happened. Their expressions were full of doubt. In order to protect her image, Nangong Lan cleared her throat and said, "Everyone, this girl is a servant of our Nangong family, and now she has stolen our Nangong family's wealth. So, I specially came here to chase after her." So that's how it is. Hearing this, everyone came to a realization and looked at Lin Ruabai with eyes full of contempt. "This little girl is quite pretty. I never thought that she would do such a thing. Tieska, you really don't know a person's face. She even dared to steal things from the Nangong family. Is she tired of living? This kind of thief should be cut into pieces and die without a complete corpse." These people's words were like a sword, ruthlessly stabbing into Lin Ruabai's heart. She wanted to defend herself, but in order to protect the withered tree, she had already used up all her strength, to the point that she did not even have the strength to speak. The blue wand finally fell in front of her. The gorgeous feathertail became tattered, full of wounds. Bright red blood pierced into Lin Ruabai's eyes, causing her eyes to gradually turn blood red. "I don't think there's any need for you to keep this tree." Nangong Lan walked in front of Lin Ruabai and tried her best to take away the withered tree from Lin Ruabai's hands. However, even after using all her strength, she was still unable to take away her beloved treasure. "Someone, help me cut off this woman's hand. I want to see if she will let go," Nangong Lan said angrily. "Yes, young miss." Hearing this, two people immediately stepped forward with their swords. The sharp blades of their swords shone brightly under the direct sunlight. The green phoenix struggled to open its eyes and looked at the dazed Lin Ruabai. Its lips moved slightly. "Quickly escape, master, quickly escape." Lin Ruabai stared at the green phoenix in a daze. The red light in his eyes was reflected, as bewitching as the color of blood. She muttered to herself, her expression as dull as ever. "Those who want to steal my gift to master deserve to die. Those who hurt Blue Wand deserve to die. Therefore, these people should all die here." Boom! A wave of monstrous power surged out from Lin Ruabai's body. In that instant, a violent gust of wind blew, and the sun and moon lost their color. Lin Ruabai stood in the wind, her cute and exquisite little face expressionless. Her blood-red eyes stared coldly at the group of people in front of her. Chapter 1109. Oh no! Nangong Qing's expression changed when he sensed the aura surging from Xiaobai's body. He quickly shouted, "Hurry up and stop her, or it'll be too late." All of a sudden, everyone rushed towards Whitey. Their bodies were like sharp blades, killing without leaving a trace. Lin Ruabai's blood-red eyes were calm and emotionless as she stared coldly at the people charging at her. The storm above her head did not dissipate. Instead, it grew even more violent. A strong gust of wind appeared around her, causing her hair to dance wildly in the wind. Her childish face was delicate and adorable, but it was not as lively as before. Instead, it was so cold that it made people tremble in fear. The moment Nangong Qing and the others reached her, the aura from her body swept out like an explosion. In an instant, those people were sent flying and fell to the ground pathetically. Nangong Qing raised his head in shock. When he saw the young lady's green clothes, his eyes were filled with panic and fear. Demon. Indeed, in their eyes, Lin Ruabai was like a bloodthirsty demon. It was as if she had lost her mind and only knew how to kill. "Run!" Nangong Qing and the others looked at each other, then turned around and fled. The only thing they could do now was to go back and ask for reinforcements. "Master." Qing Wan looked at Lin Ruabai in a daze. For some reason, the young lady gave him a strange feeling. This feeling caused his heart to tremble uncontrollably. "All of you deserve to die." Lin Ruabai raised her hand. In an instant, a wave of energy shot out from her hand and hit an elder from the Nangong family. At that instant, everyone witnessed an unforgettable scene. A hole appeared in the elder's chest, but no blood flowed out. Then, The hole grew bigger and bigger until it gradually spread to the elder's entire body. In a flash, his body turned into ashes and dissipated into the air. He did not even have the chance to scream before he died. However, this elder was a venerable spiritualist. A venerable spiritualist could not even withstand a single blow from her. Nangonglan gulped and subconsciously took 2 steps back. Her pale face was filled with fear. She wanted to turn around and run away from this demon. However, at this moment, Lin Ruobai's gaze had already landed on her. "Father, save me!" Nangonglan cried out in panic. She was so anxious that tears almost flowed down her face. She had originally thought that her disciple, Yin Luofeng, was a pushover. Who would have thought that this woman's strength would suddenly increase to such a powerful level? If she had known this would happen, she would never have provoked her. Boom! Lin Ruobai's body suddenly disappeared into thin air. When she reappeared, she was already behind Nangonglan. She punched Nangonglan's back, sending her flying several meters away. She coughed up blood. She raised her head in fear and saw that Lin Ruobai had already walked in front of her. "You don't kill me. I was wrong. Please don't kill me." Nangonglan looked at Lin Ruobai with tears in her eyes, which were filled with fear and pleading. Clearly, the current Lin Ruobai was no different from a demon in her eyes. "Die!" Lin Ruobai raised her chin slightly and looked down at Nangonglan, who was lying on the ground. She raised her sword high in her hand and was about to fall. Nangonglan was so scared that her face turned pale. Boom! At this moment, several powerful auras came from not too far away, causing the originally dark and colorless sky to become even darker. Chapter 11:10. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. The crowd was shocked by Lin Ruobai's actions. They quickly found a place to hide and observed the situation from afar. Suddenly, an elderly voice rang out in the sky, intimidating everyone. "Who dares to kill in my endless city?" The old man's voice was ethereal, but it was enough to shock everyone. It was as if a blow had struck their hearts, causing their souls to tremble. Slowly, several silhouettes appeared in the sky. They were all dressed in gray robes and had an ethereal air about them. Ancestral elders. The members of the 3 aristocratic families were overjoyed when they saw the elders. They never thought that the ancestral elders would find their way here so quickly. Ancestral elders? Among the onlookers, there were some who didn't understand and asked curiously, "Who are these ancestral elders?" "You probably don't know about this." One of the insiders smiled mysteriously. There have been many open and secret fights between the 3 aristocratic families over the years. However, none of them have suffered any losses. Do you know why? Why? The crowd grew even more curious. The person continued to smile. Because there's a hall of elders above the 3 aristocratic families. The elders in the hall are all members of the 3 aristocratic families. In other words, as long as someone from the 3 aristocratic families becomes a Holy Spirit, they can enter the Hall of Elders. Holy Spirit? The crowd turned pale with fright. They could not help but gasp as they looked at the elders in the sky. No wonder the 3 aristocratic family status had been unshakable all these years. It turned out that there were more than 10 Holy Spirit cultivators above them. It was precisely because of these Holy Spirit cultivators that the 3 aristocratic families had not suffered any losses over the years. Lin Ruobai remained expressionless. He swung his sword down as if he had not heard the ancestral elder's words. "I told you to stop. Didn't you hear me?" The gray-robed elder flew into a rage. He quickly appeared in front of Lin Ruobai and raised his hand to block Lin Ruobai. Bang! A powerful aura erupted from the 2 of them, sweeping the surrounding stalls into the sky before smashing them down. Lin Ruobai took a few steps back and looked at the gray-robed elder expressionlessly. A red light flickered in his eyes. "All of you deserve to die." Her aura had not stopped since the beginning, and her strength was also increasing rapidly. If this continued, even if all the elders of the 3 great clans joined forces, they might not be able to defeat her. The gray-robed elder gritted his teeth and said to his colleague, "Let's kill this little girl before she completely turns into a demon and get rid of this evil for the people." As long as one reached the status of the gray-robed old man, they would pay more attention to their face. He wouldn't say that he wanted to kill Lin Ruabai because he was afraid of her growth. He would only tell everyone that he was getting rid of a scourge for the people. In an instant, all the old men floated in front of Lin Ruabai and surrounded her. Qing Yuan supported her heavily injured body and climbed up. She shouted angrily, "You shameless old bastards, so many people bullying a little girl. Do you still have any shame?" The gray-robed elder scoffed coldly and said mockingly, "I've already said that we're getting rid of a scourge for the people. This little girl is a scourge. If we don't kill her, the entire mainland will suffer. Therefore, for the sake of the people on the mainland, she must die." Qing Yuan trembled with anger. She had never seen such a shameless person. Chapter 11:11. I think that the three great families' ancestral elders are right. This woman has clearly turned into a demon. Look at her eyes. They are clearly the eyes of a demon. If she doesn't die, many people will suffer. That's right. This woman deserves to die. She has a cruel nature. She should be killed for the safety of the common people. The crowd jeered and shouted. In their eyes, Lin Ruabai was a demon, and the people from the three great families were deities who had slain demons. Lin Ruabai remained expressionless as she stood in the middle of the elders' encirclement. Her red eyes were blood red, and it seemed as if there was a blood-red light in her eyes. It was extremely terrifying. A battle was about to break out. The ancestral elders were Holy Spirit practitioners and were supreme beings on this mainland. Even so, Lin Ruabai did not fall into a disadvantageous position when facing so many ancestral elders at the same time. "Mother," just then a soft voice rang out from the crowd. "I know this little sister. She seems to be from the medical tower." If Qing Yin was here, she would have recognized this little girl as the one who had almost been hit by the O family's carriage and had been rescued by her. She was also the one who had vowed to join the medical tower after she had been rescued. "Yuan or don't talk." The woman next to her was so frightened that she covered her mouth and carefully watched the battle in front of her. However, she did not cover her mouth very tightly, and the little girl's voice could still be heard faintly. "Mother, why do they all think that this little sister is at fault? I think that the people from the three great families are not good people. They had wanted to hit me before, and it was the big sister from the medical tower who saved me. Therefore, these people are the bad people, and the big sister from the medical tower is definitely a good person. I must join the medical tower in the future." The little girl was still young. In her heart, Qing Yin, who had saved her, must be a good person. Therefore, the people from the medical tower were also good people. On the contrary, the people from the O family who wanted to hit her were definitely bad people. "Yuana," the woman was shocked and broke out in a cold sweat. She hurriedly shouted, "Don't talk nonsense so that you don't get into trouble." The little girl blinked her ignorant eyes. She was still young and did not know what had happened. The gray-robed old man looked at the little girl coldly, and a fierce look flashed in his eyes. When no one was paying attention, a powerful force shot out from his sleeve and directly struck the little girl. The little girl did not notice the gray-robed elder's actions. It should be said that no one saw this scene. Hence, when they saw Lin Ruabai rushing towards the little girl, everyone was shocked. "Quick, get out of the way, this demoness has gone mad." Everyone hurriedly screamed. The woman was also stunned. By the time she came back to her senses, Lin Ruabai was already in front of the little girl. Puff! She quickly pulled the little girl into her arms, and the attack landed fiercely on her back. Previously, in order to chase after this attack, she had used up a lot of strength, so she did not have the chance to put up a defense. If a spiritualist fought without any defense, he would only be slightly better than a normal person. This was also why it was so easy for assassins to kill people of a higher rank than them. The little girl blinked her eyes in a daze, staring blankly at Lin Ruabai. She stretched out her hand and wiped the blood from the corner of Lin Ruabai's mouth. Her eyes filled with confusion. "Big sister, why are you bleeding?" Chapter 11:12. Lin Ruabai lowered her head to look at the little girl. Her eyes were still blood red, but her face was no longer expressionless. Under the cover of the sun, there was a layer of light. Did you just say that you want to join the medical tower? The little girl nodded seriously. The medical tower is full of good people. The three aristocratic families are all bad people. I want to join the medical tower and beat up the bad people. This time, the woman did not stop the little girl. No matter how stupid she was, she could see everything in front of her. Her daughter had said a few words about the three aristocratic families, and these sanctimonious people had tried to kill her. If the girl from the medical tower had not risked her life to save her, perhaps her daughter would have been separated from her. Lin Ruabai smiled. Her smile was so dazzling that no one could look away. Remember what you said today. The medical tower welcomes you at any time. Miss. The woman stepped forward and supported Lin Ruabai's body. Thank you for saving my daughter. Lin Ruabai shook her head. She's a good seedling. With proper training, she will become a fighting force by my master's side. I won't let the medical tower lose a good seedling. If I don't die this time, I will mention it to my master and let her enter the medical tower to study. Cough, cough. Lin Ruabai coughed out 2 mouthfuls of blood. Her body became weak, and she gradually fell to the ground. Little sister, the little girl, cried bitterly. She wanted to catch Lin Ruabai, but she did not have enough strength. She could only fall to the ground with Lin Ruabai. Bring her back. The gray-robed elder snorted coldly and said expressionlessly. The woman's body trembled. Just as she was about to speak, the little girl had already climbed up from the ground and stood in front of Lin Ruabai. You bad people, you can't bully little sister. The gray-robed elder's eyes darkened. He put on a fake smile and said, Can't you see that this woman has already become a demon? She's a scourge. We're getting rid of a scourge for the people. The crowd, who originally agreed with the gray-robed elder, did not provoke Lin Ruabai like they did last time. They unanimously remained silent. Master O did not have such good patience. He stepped forward, lifted the little girl, and threw her away. He then put Lin Ruabai on his shoulder and said, Let's go. Wow! The little girl had just been picked up from the ground by the woman when she saw Lin Ruabai being carried away. She was so anxious that she burst into tears. She struggled to get up, but in the end, she could only watch as Lin Ruabai was taken away. Little girl, Nangong Lan stood up, a smile appearing on her beautiful face. Don't be tricked by someone. That woman is not a good person. Pooh! The woman hugged her daughter tightly and spat on Nangong Lan's face. She's not a good person? So you guys are good stuff? My daughter only said a few words about your 3 great clans, and you want to silence them? That girl shouldn't have lost. If it weren't for saving my daughter, she wouldn't have been hit. In the end, who's the bad guy? Nangong Lan's face darkened as she looked coldly at the woman. Just as she was about to speak, the mocking voices beside her surged over like a tide. I really thought that the girl had become a demon, causing her to kill people crazily. I didn't think that we'd misunderstood her in the end. Indeed, if the 3 great clans hadn't provoked her, she wouldn't have killed people out of anger. In the end, she was even injured for someone she had nothing to do with. Chapter 11:13. Actually, it's not completely unrelated. If this little girl had not said that she wanted to join the medical tower, she would not have saved her. But no matter what, it's a fact that she has saved others. On the contrary, these hypocrites who keep saying that they are helping the people get rid of evil have killed people just because of a few words from a little girl. Hearing the voices of these people, Nangong Lan's expression turned exceptionally ugly. She did not dare to say another word and left dejectedly. How glorious she had been when she had arrived was how miserable she had been now. Even though the 3 great families had captured Lin Ruabai, their reputation that they had built up over the years had plummeted. From now on, no one would ever trust the 3 great families again. On the street, Yin Luofeng saw the crowd in front of her from afar. She frowned and quickly walked over. When she stepped forward, she saw the blue lawn lying on the ground. Her peerlessly beautiful face sank instantly. Could it be that she was still a step too late? Lord Luofeng. The blue lawn struggled to lift her eyelids. When she saw Yun Luofeng walking towards her, her heart filled with joy. She hurriedly said, "Master, she has been captured by the three great families." Yun Luofeng slowly walked forward, took out a medicinal herb, and fed it to the blue wand. After the blue wand's injuries had healed, she gradually stood up. An evil light flashed in her pitch-black eyes. "Fire, send the blue wand back." As soon as she finished speaking, a fiery red figure appeared out of thin air and appeared next to Yun Luofeng. This was a girl who looked like a porcelain doll. Her red clothes were like blood, and she was extremely enchanting. Even though she was still young and had yet to shed her childishness, one could still see how beautiful she would be in the future. At this moment, the girl was standing next to Yun Luofeng. She opened her mouth and asked, "Master, why didn't you bring me along to settle the score with the three great families? This time, I don't need you. I alone am enough." Yun Luofeng gently raised her eyes. If she did not wipe out the three great families, how could she quell the anger in her heart? Those who hurt Xiao deserve to die. "Sister," Yuana looked at Yun Luofeng with her large, teary eyes. "Are you going to save the big sister just now?" Yun Luofeng stopped in his tracks and turned back to look at Yuan. His brows furrowed tightly. "Miss," the woman understood the doubts in Yun Luofeng's heart and hurriedly explained, "That little girl was injured while trying to save my daughter. You are all my benefactors. I will pray for your safety here." Yuan blinked her big eyes and looked at Yun Luofeng with some fear. This elder sister's aura was too frightening. She was like a god. That's right, her aura was like that of a god, high and mighty, impossible to blaspheme. It also gave people a sense of security. Big sister said that I can join the medical tower. Is that true?" Yun Luofeng raised his brows and scrutinized Yuan once again. When he saw her talent, a look of surprise flashed across his pitch-black eyes. This little girl is not simple. If he were to be nurtured properly in the future, he would definitely become a powerhouse. What she said is true. You can join the medical tower right now. The woman was startled and asked, "How can Miss be so sure?" As she spoke, Yun Luofeng was already far away, madly sprinting in the direction of the three aristocratic families. However, in the air, her voice could still be heard from afar. "Because I am the pagoda master of the medical tower, I can make this decision." The pagoda master of the medical tower? Everyone was shocked and stared blankly at the place where Yun Luofeng had disappeared. Chapter 11:14. So this woman was the legendary medical tower's tower master. She was also so beautiful and peerless. Yuana blinked her eyes in a daze. "Mother, this sister is so handsome. I want to marry her when I grow up." The woman's forehead twitched as she looked at her daughter with a black face. Yun Luofeng would never have thought that his unintentional actions would cause an ignorant little girl to say such words. Nangong family. Nangong Qing sat on a chair with a face full of worry. His entire person looked very depressed. "I have completely fallen out with the medical tower. I'm afraid I won't be able to explain to you." "Master," the great elder looked at Nangong Qing. "Everything is more important than the big picture. Even if young master has a good impression of that woman from the medical tower, he still knows what is right and wrong. She's just an outsider. How can she make us obey?" "Dream on." Nangong Qing sighed helplessly. There was no turning back. He could only brace himself and continue on. "Master!" At this moment, a delicate voice came from outside the hall. Nangong Qing frowned and turned to look, only to see Mu Qianqian and her daughter enter in the hall. "Why are you here?" His expression was not very good as he looked at Nangong Lan coldly. If it wasn't for Nangong Lan, they wouldn't have almost been annihilated today. Nangong Lan lowered her head and did not make a sound, but her hands were clenched tightly by her sides. "Master, you don't have to blame Lan Lan is your only flesh and blood in this world." Mu Qianqian smiled delicately and slowly walked towards Nangong Qing. Nangong Qing frowned. "What do you mean?" "I still have is my son. He should inherit the Nangong family." Hearing the man's words, Nangong Lan's body shook and her heart suddenly sank. No matter how much she did, in her father's eyes, There would always be that illegitimate child. Nangong Uni? Mu Qianqian sneered. That boy's mother is indiscreet, flirting around. Who can be sure that Nangong Uni is Master's biological son? We used a drop of blood to identify our kinship. Nangong Qing snorted and replied in a bad mood. Mu Qianqian's eyes flickered and she said with a smile, Patriarch, how can a blood test be reliable? The person who colluded with Nangong Uni's mother is your biological younger brother. With this bloodline here, it is very likely that the blood test will succeed. Stop! Nangong Qing's forehead twitched violently as he shouted angrily. The younger brother colluded with his sister-in-law. This was a humiliation that the Nangong family could not mention. Patriarch, do you think Nangong Uni is similar to you in any way? Mu Qianqian's voice seemed to have a magical power, causing Nangong Qing to fall silent. Originally, he didn't feel anything, but when he heard Mu Qianqian's words, he felt that Nangong Uni was very suspicious. That slut and her own little brother were in cahoots. Maybe Nangong Uni was also their product. No wonder Nangong Uni didn't listen to him. So he had been deceiving him all along? Bang! Nangong Qing slapped the table. If he really isn't my son, then I won't let him go. He would never allow anyone to deceive him. Moreover, these days he had given Nangong Qing too much love. How could he endure this kind of disappointment? Mu Qianqian, what evidence do you have to prove that Uni isn't my son? Patriarch, I brought someone to see you. Mu Qianqian smiled mysteriously and clapped her hands. In an instant, 2 guards brought a man in. Chapter 11:15. This man was thin and handsome. There were a few strands of white hair at his temples, and he looked very weathered. Upon seeing this man, Nangong Qing's suppressed anger surged once again. Nangong Chun, you actually dare to appear in front of me. Nangong Chun swallowed his saliva with difficulty and glanced at Mu Qianqian. When he saw Mu Qianqian give him a look, he smiled helplessly and turned to face Nangong Qing. I'm here to reunite with my son. What? Nangong Qing clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. What are you saying? Nangong Chun lowered his eyes to hide the apologetic look in his eyes. Nangong Uni is my son with Fu-er. Boom! Nangong Qing slammed his fist on the table, and instantly, the table broke into 2. His expression was ferocious and terrifying. Say what you just said one more time. Who's your son? Nangong Chun raised his head and looked into Nangong Qing's eyes, which were filled with anger. He said word by word, Nangong Uni is my son. As soon as he said this, Nangong Qing staggered a little. What followed was an even more intense anger. At this moment, he did not see the smiles on Mu Qianqian and her daughter's faces or the flash of pride in their eyes. Nangong Uni, if you're not Nangong Qing's son, let's see how you plan to seize the Nangong family. Coincidentally, Nangong Uni returned at this moment. As soon as he stepped into the Nangong family residence, he felt that the atmosphere was a little off. He was stunned for a moment before he asked, what happened? As soon as the question left his mouth, he remembered the words he had heard on the street and continued to ask, Father, I heard that you made a move against the people from the medical tower. If this guy really wanted to become Yun Luofeng's enemy, then he would definitely stand on Yun Luofeng's side without any hesitation. Ha ha! Nangong Qing was so angry that he laughed. You bastard! How dare you question me? Who gave you the courage to do so? I should have known that you're born from that *TCH and another man. You're not my son at all. Otherwise, why would you be so disobedient? Nangong Uni's expression darkened. You better be more respectful when you speak. What do you mean by born with another man? From the beginning to the end, my mother only had you as a man. You still want to quibble? Your biological father has already come knocking on your door, and you still don't want to admit it. Nangong Qing was furious. I've been so good to you, but I didn't expect that all I did was raise someone else's son. Since your biological father has found his way here, none of you can leave. Boom! Nangong Qing suddenly rushed in front of Nangong Uni. His palm fiercely grabbed Nangong Uni's neck and forcefully threw him to the ground. Little bastard, Don't think that I don't know that you and that woman, Yin Luophone, colluded to plot against me. That's right. I really did capture Yin Luofeng's disciple. My goal was to force her to hand over the antidote. Nangong Yuni smiled. Blood dripped from the corner of his mouth, and his smile was very bleak. Why are you always so stupid? Do you believe whatever others say? Because of what this man and Mu Qianqian said, my mother had to bear the crime for so many years. Did you catch them in bed? Or did you see them having sex with your own eyes? No, you didn't see anything. It was because of these people's words that my mother had to bear the crime for so long. Nangong Yuni crawled up from the ground and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He raised his head to look at Nangong Qing, and the corner of his mouth curled into a mocking smile. Your intelligence makes me feel sad. Chapter 11:16. Impudent. Nangong Qing roared angrily. Every time he thought about how his son, whom he had placed all his hopes on, was a bastard child, the rage in his heart would surge uncontrollably. Guards, lock Nangong Yuni up. We'll deal with him later. Yes, master. Hearing this, the two guards stepped forward and grabbed Nangong Yuni's arms. Nangong Yuni raised his hand and fiercely flung the guard's hand away. He then swept his cold gaze across Nangong Qing and said expressionlessly, "One day, you will regret what you've done today." After he had spoken, he glanced at Mu Qianqian, and the smile on his face became even more disdainful. If you don't want anyone to know, don't do it. You're on your own. After saying these words, Nangong Yuni waved his sleeves and left in a carefree and unrestrained manner under the escort of two guards. Once he had walked out of the great hall, he felt his legs turn to jelly and his back was drenched in sweat. He was really afraid that Nangong Qing would kill him in a fit of rage. Hence, even though he had pretended to be cool, his legs were already trembling in fear. However, he would not show his cowardice and weakness in front of the mother and daughter. Father. Nangong Lan's eyes flashed. Nangong Yuni is rather cunning. I'm afraid that the two guards will not be able to keep an eye on him and let him escape. I will personally take him to the prison. Nangong Qing waved his hand and sat down on a chair, looking slightly tired. Go. Yes, father. Nangong Lan joined her fists and walked out of the great hall. No one noticed that the moment she left, a trace of viciousness flashed across her eyes. Nangong Yuni, perhaps you never thought that you would fall into my hands one day. Nangong Chun. Nangong Qing could not even look in the direction that Nangong Lan had left. His expression was cold and dark as he looked at the kneeling Nangong Chun and slammed his hand on the table. I've always treated you well. Why must you treat me like this? It's fine that you've colluded with Fu-er, but why is it that even my beloved son is your bastard child? The more Nangong Qing spoke, the angrier he became. His face turned red with anger as he glared fiercely at Nangong Chun. It was as if he wanted to tear Nangong Chun into a million pieces. Nangong Chun lowered his head. I was indeed in the wrong. You can punish me as you wish. Ha ha ha. Nangong Qing furiously laughed twice. Good, very good. Now that you have fallen into my hands, I will never let you go. Men, take him away. Cut off a piece of his flesh every day until he dies. Hearing Nangong Qing's words, Nangong Chen's body trembled, but he did not raise his head. Two guards stepped forward, lifted his body, and walked out of the hall. When Nangong Chen's body was lifted, he subconsciously looked at Mu Qianqian. His lips moved slightly. His lips were saying, "Remember your promise to me." Mu Qianqian smiled. Promise? What the hell was that? She had never been one to keep her promises. Now that she thought about it, Nangong Chun was indeed an infatuated man. That year, she had captured his lover and fed her a deadly poison to force Nangong Chun to frame that woman. Nangong Chun had listened to everything she said for the sake of his beloved lover, even though he had been misunderstood by his own brother and had spent so many years in hiding. He had never thought of clearing up the matter. Chapter 11:17. What a joke. Nangong Chen's lover was already dead, yet Nangong Chun continued to work for her. Perhaps he should be thanking her. If it wasn't for her, Nangong Chun wouldn't have the chance to reunite with his lover in the Yellow Springs. In a dark and damp prison cell, Lin Ruobai's body was nailed to the wall. Fresh blood flowed from her wound, dyeing her green clothes red. She looked like she was soaked in a vat of blood, lifeless. Go in. Suddenly, the prison's door was pushed open. Nangong Lan fiercely pushed Nangong Yuni inside. Just as Nangong Yuni was about to curse out in anger, he suddenly saw Lin Ruobai nailed to the wall. His heart immediately sank, and his low voice was filled with rage. Nangong Lan, what did you do to Yun Luofeng's disciple? Nangong Lan smiled. These nails are made of special materials. They can suppress the rising power in her body. If she continues to grow, she will definitely become a scourge. So, the Nangong family is getting rid of a scourge for the people. Tui. Nangong Yuni spat at Nangong Lan's shameless face. He was so angry that his handsome face turned green. Getting rid of a scourge? I think that the people who should be getting rid of are the people from the Nangong family. Nangong Lan's eyes turned cold. In a flash, she rushed in front of Nangong Yuni. Her palm was wrapped in a layer of spiritual energy, and she attacked Nangong Yuni's chest. At this moment, the ring on Nangong Yuni's finger flashed. In an instant, two spiritual beasts, one big and one small, appeared in front of Nangong Lan. Roar! An angry roar caused Nangong Lan to take a few steps back. She narrowed her eyes and stared dangerously at the blood lion in front of Nangong Yuni. Don't forget who brought you out of the forest of no return. Is this how you treat me now? The blood lion snorted. It was originally very comfortable in the forest of no return. Who knew that it would accidentally fall into this woman's trap and leave its home to come here? Don't tell me. I have to thank her. Nangong Yuni, when Nangong Lan saw that the bloodline was not listening to her, she turned her gaze towards Nangong Yuni and sneered. Don't forget, this is our Nangong family. Do you think that these two spiritual beasts can protect you? Besides, Yun Luofeng's disciple has fallen into my hands. If you don't want her to suffer even more, then call back your spiritual beast. Nangong Yuni clenched his fists tightly. He glanced at Lin Ruobai, who was covered in blood behind him. His eyes darkened. Little lightning, little blood, come back. The twin-winged, purple-tailed mink and the blood lion cried out in protest. If they left, Master would definitely be tortured by this woman. You guys go back. Right now, Nangong Lan doesn't have the guts to kill me. Nangong Yuni raised his eyes, his gaze filled with determination. This is an order. Once a spirit beast was tamed, it would obey any order from its master. No matter how unwilling they were, they could only return to the ring. Nangong Lan, let this lady go. Nangong Yuni clenched his fists tightly. If you let her go, I'll let you do whatever you want of me. Nangong Lan glanced at Nangong Yuni. Looks like you have deep feelings for Yun Luofeng. For her disciple, you're willing to sacrifice yourself like this. You'll never understand. There's a kind of feeling called brotherhood. This kind of brotherhood has nothing to do with love. For her, I can lay down my head and spill my blood. I can also stand by her side when she becomes enemies with the entire world. But people like you will never understand the feelings we had before. Chapter 11:18. That kind of feeling had nothing to do with romance or staying together for a lifetime. He would only protect you with everything he had in his limited life. Nangong Lan frowned. She thought that Nangong Yuni sacrificed himself to save Lin Ruobai because he loved Yun Luofeng. Now it seemed that wasn't the case. Friendship? What a joke. She never believed that this kind of feeling existed in this world. Nangong Yuni, you want to save Lin Ruobai? Fine. If you can withstand 10 of my moves, I'll let her go. Nangong Lan sneered. She waved her hand and took out a hammer from her spatial ring. Bang! Her hammer smashed onto Nangong Yuni's back. He clenched his fist, and his body slightly swayed. Nangong Yuni, you're not allowed to use your defense. Otherwise, I won't let this woman go. Without using his defense, he was only slightly better than a normal person. How could Nangong Yuni withstand 10 hits in his current state? Nangong Yuni's body trembled. In the end, he still removed all his defenses and exposed his weakness to Nangong Lan. The second hammer smashed down. Nangong Yuni couldn't withstand it and fell to the ground. He propped himself up and tried to get up. However, he felt a heart-wrenching pain. Only when he felt the pain did he realize that his spine had been broken by that hammer strike. You can't take it after just 2 hits? I still have 8 hits waiting for you. Nangong Lan laughed coldly. I want to see how long you can last. Bang! Another hammer fell on Nangong Yuni's back. He felt a fishy taste in his mouth. A mouthful of fresh blood was stuck in his throat, making his throat extremely uncomfortable. On the 4th hit, he felt his upper and lower eyelids fighting. He was powerless to separate them and could only let them close. The 5th hit, he couldn't hold on any longer. His mind was in a state of dizziness. He could only rely on his last bit of willpower to hold on. His mother's grievances hadn't been cleared. Nangong Qing hadn't regretted it. Mu Qianqian and her mother hadn't received their retribution. How could he die here? It was just 10 hits. As a man, how could he not hold on? On the 6th strike, Nangong Yuni felt his back go numb. His entire body lost all feeling. He fiercely clenched his teeth. The pain from the tip of his tongue prevented his will from sinking. Following that, the 7th, 8th, 9th, all of them fell. As long as he could endure this last strike, he would be able to save Lin Ruabai. Nangong Yuni, I didn't expect you to be able to hold on. I wonder if you can withstand this final attack. Nangong Lan raised the iron hammer in her hand high up. All of her spiritual energy was transferred to the iron hammer. Then, it streaked across the moist air and suddenly landed on Nangong Yuni's back. Puff! The mouthful of blood that was stuck in his throat was finally spurted out by this hammer strike. The ground in front of him was covered in a pool of blood. It was a ghastly sight. Nangong Lan. Nangong Yuni's voice was very weak, as if it could disappear at any time. I've already endured 10 strikes from you. You must fulfill your promise and let this lady go. Nangong Lan laughed sarcastically. She spread out her hands and asked, Let her go? Did I say anything like that? Who can prove it? You. Nangong Yuni's eyes were burning with anger. Your words don't count. Despicable and shameless. Nangong Lan faintly smiled. She walked in front of Nangong Yuni, lowered her head, and looked down at him from above. It was you who thought that your identity as a bastard child was too shameful. You willingly endured these 10 strikes. What does that have to do with me? Why should I let this woman go? Chapter 11:19. Nangong Yuni's body went soft. He didn't even have the strength to stand up. He stared at Nangong Lan with eyes filled with hatred. If his gaze was a knife, Nangong Lan would definitely be cut into pieces. Hate! Nangong Lan lowered her body and smiled at Nangong Yuni. Back then, when you came to the Nangong family, I felt the same way as you do now. From that moment on, I have been planning how to deal with you. Nangong Lan. Nangong Yuni's voice was very weak. It was so weak that it seemed like it would disappear at any moment. One day, I will tear you into pieces. Ha ha ha. Nangong Lan laughed out loud. Dismember the corpse into 10,000 pieces? Nangong Yuni, I'm afraid you don't have that ability. Father was too stupid in the past to protect a bastard like you. This time, I will not give you another chance. She raised the hammer in her hand again and fiercely smashed it on Nangong Yuni's ankle. Crack! The sound of bones breaking rang out in the quiet prison. Nangong Yuni gritted his teeth. He pressed on the broken bone on his ankle. He stubbornly and unwillingly stared at Nangong Lan. His handsome pale face was as firm as a mountain. His sharp eyebrows didn't even frown. This broken leg is my reward for stealing Father's love for all these years. Now, you can enjoy everything in front of you. Ha! Nangong Lan's laughter was crazy. Her sinister face twisted. It was as if torturing Nangong Yuni gave her great pleasure. At the same time, at the entrance of the Nangong family, the metal door was cut in half by a sword. The 2 guards guarding the door didn't even have time to react. They were instantly hit in the chest by a force and fell into the door. At the entrance, a young girl stepped through the door. Her white clothes fluttered in the wind. Her eyes were arrogant and domineering. Her evil black eyes flashed with killing intent. It was as if a gust of wind had been set off around her, making people not dare to get close. Get Nangong Qing out here. Following the young girl's cold shout, Nangong Qing, who was originally discussing in the hall, immediately walked out with a group of elders. When he saw Yin Luofeng, his expression changed slightly. He lowered his head and gave an order to the person beside him. The man accepted the order and hurriedly retreated. Miss Yin, I trust you have been well since we last met. Nan Gongqing glanced at the servant who was walking away and smiled insincerely. Yin Luofeng's evil eyes glanced at Nan Gongqing. Where's Whitey? What's Xiaobai? Nan Gongqing pretended to be confused as he looked at her. Lin Ruobai, my disciple. In other words, the girl you captured on the street. Yin Luofeng slowly approached Nan Gongqing. Where is she? Nan Gongqing's eyes flickered a few times before he laughed dryly and said, I don't know what you mean by that. We did capture a woman on the street, but that woman had already become a demon. I was afraid that she would threaten the safety of the continent. So I took her away. Milk tea. Rat Queen. Yin Luofeng's gaze turned cold, and he ordered coldly, Search for me. Whoever dares to stop me will be killed without mercy. As soon as she said those words, the murderous aura around the young girl grew even stronger. Her fine black hair danced in the wind, and her white robes fluttered in the wind. She raised her chin slightly, and her peerlessly demonic face was filled with a thick murderous intent. In an instant, 2 rays of light flashed and landed in front of Yin Luofeng. Of the 2 people, one was a budding youth, and the other was a noble and arrogant woman. Chapter 11:20. In front of Yin Luofeng, the 2 of them lowered their heads and said respectfully, Yes, master. Hua. As soon as they finished speaking, the 2 of them turned into a beam of light and quickly rushed out of the crowd. Their speed was too fast, so fast that no one could catch them. Yin Luofeng looked at Nan Gongqing from the corner of her eye. Her arrogant eyes were filled with a domineering aura. If Xiaobai loses a single hair, I will kill 1 person from your Nangong family. If she leaves a drop of blood behind, I will make everyone from your Nangong family pay tribute to her. Nan Gongqing's face turned ugly. Miss Yin, don't you think you are being too rude and unreasonable? You should be reasonable. Besides, our Nangong family doesn't know that woman is your disciple. No matter what, he had to delay until the ancestral elders arrived. Otherwise, who knew if this woman would go crazy? Boom! Yin Luofeng's aura surged. The wind around her uprooted the surrounding trees and rushed towards Nan Gongqing. Nan Gongqing didn't have time to react. The trees were already in front of him, under the watchful eyes of the crowd. With a bang, his entire body was buried by the trees. Cough, cough. Nan Gongqing coughed twice and climbed up from under the tree. He looked at Yin Luofeng with an ashen face. Miss Yin, error is your friend. Why must you be so heartless? It's useless even if you bring up Nangong Uni. I will still say the same thing. If Xiaobai loses a drop of blood, I will make your 3 great families die with her. As soon as he finished speaking, an old and disdainful voice came from a void. Such big words. I don't know what ability you use to destroy my 3 great families. Gradually, several figures appeared from the void. These people were all dressed in gray robes. They had the demeanor of immortals and looked down on all living things. The person who had just spoken looked similar to Nan Gongqing. From this, it could be seen that this old man was from the Nangong family. What ability do I have? Won't you know after you try? Yin Luofeng smiled. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Her deep black eyes were filled with evil. Ha ha ha. The gray-robed old man laughed wildly. Good. Then I want to see what kind of ability a little girl like you has. Whoosh. The instant he finished speaking, the gray-robed old man had already charged down. His speed was extremely fast, and he arrived in front of Yin Luofeng in an instant. The old man's attack was swift and fierce, and his moves were extremely ruthless. He aimed for Yin Luofeng's vital points. Yin Luofeng dodged to the side when she saw the old man's swift and fierce palm wind. Then, the sword in her hand drew a sword wind and landed on the old man's waist. The old man laughed coldly and easily dodged Yin Luofeng's sword before launching the next wave of attacks. Let's go together. The other elders frowned. They clearly did not think that Yin Luofeng would be able to dodge a saint's attack with his power. Therefore, they did not even stop to think, as they quickly charged towards the young lady below. At this moment, they'd long since disregarded their face, and they only wanted to subdue Yun Luofeng as quickly as possible. At this moment, a crowd had already gathered outside the Nangong family's gate. These people had all witnessed the conflict between Lin Ruobai and the three aristocratic families. Hence, when Yun Luofeng came to settle the score with the Nangong nobles, they had all followed him. Chapter 1121. Their goal was to see whether the medical tower would emerge victorious in this battle, or whether the three great families' territories would remain as stable and unshakable as a mountain. Whoosh! Just as the elders were rushing towards Yun Luofeng, countless vines suddenly appeared on the ground. These vines were like swimming dragons as they tried to entangle the elders. One of the elders was caught off guard and was entangled by the vines, unable to move. When his companion saw this, he immediately pulled out his sword and tried to cut off the vines. However, the vines were as strong as steel. His sword could not cut them off. What is this? His face was pale and his eyes were filled with fear. Why can't I cut it off with my strength? Just as he was about to retreat, the vines suddenly attacked him from the side. However, he did not notice this at all. If it was not for Nangong Qing's scream, perhaps he would have coincidentally dodged the vine. However, Nangong Qing screamed instead. "Elder O Xing, be careful." When he heard this, O Xing instinctively paused, and because he stopped, the vines instantly wrapped around his body. The entire Nangong family became deathly silent. The previously arrogant elders could only dodge the vines that could not be cut off. They had no time to spare to deal with Yun Luofeng. At this moment, in the dark and damp prison, Nangong Lan stepped hard on Nangong Yuni's back. Her lips curled into a cold smile. She bent down and said in a sinister voice, "Nangong Yuni, are you in pain? Don't worry, just beg me. Maybe I will let you die a quick death." Nangong Yuni closed his eyes. His actions had already expressed his inner thoughts. Even if he died, he would not beg for mercy. "All right, you have a backbone. Since that's the case, I will first gouge out your eyes, then cut off your limbs. I want to see how tough you can be." Nangong Lan flipped Nangong Yuni's body over. A dagger suddenly appeared in her hand, and she gestured at his eyes. "Tell me, should I gouge out your left eye or right eye first?" Nangong Lan laughed coldly. "Of course, if you insult Yun Luofeng, I'll leave one of your eyes. If you say that I'm prettier than Yun Luofeng, that I'm more talented than Yun Luofeng, then I'll leave both of your eyes behind." Nangong Yuni still didn't utter a single word. His eyes were tightly shut, and his demeanor of facing death with equanimity completely infuriated Nangong Lan. "Nangong Yuni, I'm telling you, Yun Luofeng is no match for me." A fierce look flashed across Nangong Lan's eyes. For her to be able to break through to this realm, she must have used something to raise her strength. Just based on talent, even Tinyan Lufeng's cannot compare to one of me. As for looks, I am a #1 beauty of Endless City. What does Yun Luofeng count as? Men who think she's prettier than me are all blind. All these years, Nangong Lan had to disguise herself outside, so she vented all her emotions on Nangong Yuni. "You don't want to insult her? Fine, then I'll cut off your tongue as well, so that you won't be able to say a single word in the future." Her dagger moved from his eyes to his lips, and then fiercely pried open Nangong Yuni's lips. Her smile was sinister and terrifying. Nangong Yuni felt the coldness on the tip of his tongue. His body trembled slightly, but he eventually regained his calm. He opened his eyes and looked at Nangong Lan with pity. Indeed, this Nangong Lan was too pitiful. Right now, she could only use these words to numb herself. Chapter 1122. Nangong Yuni, you're courting death. Nangong Yuni's gaze pierced Nangong Lan. She could cut off his tongue with just a little force. Bang! At this moment, the prison door was blasted open by a force. She was so shocked that her hand trembled and she couldn't hold on to the dagger in her hand. You are. Nangong Lan turned her head angrily. Just as she was about to curse, she saw Milk Tea and Queen Rat in the prison. She was so scared that her face turned pale. "Why are you here?" It was impossible for her not to recognize the two people beside Yin Luofeng. But what she couldn't figure out was why these two people would appear here. Nangong Yuni heard Nangonglan's voice and his tired eyes slightly lifted. He turned to look at Milk Tea and Queen Rat. His expression finally relaxed. Yin Luofeng came? That's right. It must be because she came that her two subordinates would appear here. Xiaobai. Milk Tea saw Lin Ruobai, who was nailed to the wall with a single glance. She hurriedly ran over with an anxious expression on her face. The nails on her body are quite special. If we pull them out by force, Xiaobai's soul might scatter. This won't do. We have to get Master to save Xiaobai. Queen Rat didn't speak. Her cold phoenix eyes swept towards Nangonglan. Are you prepared to receive my master's wrath? Nangonglan's expression changed, and she snorted. Our three families have the protection of the ancestral elders. Who does Yin Luofeng think he is? He's no match for the ancestral elders. Queen Rat. Seeing that Queen Rat wanted to continue speaking, Milk Tea had already walked over. Xiaobai's condition is too bad. Under the influence of these nails, her soul is very weak. If we don't treat her in time, she might not be able to be saved. We'll go find Master now. Also, Milk Tea pointed at Nangong Yuni, who was lying on the ground. This guy is Master's friend. I'll bring him along. You capture this woman and hand her over to Master. After saying this, Milk Tea walked towards Nangong Yuni, who was covered in blood. He looked at Nangong Yuni's injuries, and his expression suddenly changed. His spine is fractured, his legs are fractured, and his internal organs are damaged. His injuries are extremely serious. Fortunately, our master's medical skills are excellent, and he should be able to be saved. If it was someone else, even if he was saved, he would only be a cripple. Milk Tea squatted down and carried Nangong Yuni. After enduring the pain for so long, Nangong Yuni finally couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Using his extremely weak voice, he asked, "Can you be a little gentler?" "No," Milk Tea snorted. "Who asked you to be so stupid to go against the Nangong family single-handedly?" Nangong Yuni bitterly laughed. "I also didn't expect it to be like this. As soon as I returned to the Nangong family, I was locked up by them." He had originally heard that the three great clans had captured Lin Ruobai and wanted to come back to investigate the situation. Who would have thought that he would be labeled as a bastard upon his return? If something like this happens again, wait for my master. Don't try to act tough alone. Milk Tea glared at Nangong Yuni. She raised her hand and patted his back. This bit of pain is for you to remember. Although Milk Tea's words were very impolite, Nangong Yuni could still hear the concern in her voice. His lips couldn't help but curl into a smile. You've hurt Master's disciple and friend. Queen Rat coldly walked to Nangonglan's side. So, even if you had 100 lives, it wouldn't be enough. Chapter 11:23. Nangonglan was so frightened that she wanted to take 2 steps back. Her face was pale. The Rat Empress did not give her a chance to escape. She grabbed her by the collar and walked out of the cell. Not everyone can withstand the master's anger. The Nangong family. In the courtyard, Yin Luofeng's chi was as sharp as a sword. He coldly stared at the people who were hiding under the vine's attacks. If we continue like this, she will catch us one by one. Therefore, we must kill her first. Only when she is dead will the vine stop. The gray-robed elder glared at Yin Luofeng and gritted his teeth. In an instant, the surviving elders stopped hiding and used all their strength to charge towards Yin Luofeng. Go to hell. Following this angry roar, an elder in the sky slammed his palm towards Yin Luofeng's head. His eyes were extremely cold, and his chi was like a rainbow. Everyone believed that if this palm landed, Yin Luofeng's brain would definitely explode, and he would die without a complete corpse. Boom! Suddenly, a barrier appeared above the young girl's head and blocked the elder's attack. At the same time, the barrier exploded. The powerful force of the explosion made the elder take 2 steps back. I heard that the method you used to capture my apprentice was to use an innocent person. Yin Luofeng raised her eyes and looked at the elders who were rushing towards her one after another. You used an innocent person to capture my apprentice. How will I settle this debt with you? The young girl's power surged, and her black hair danced in the wind like a waterfall. She looked peerless and domineering. In the blink of an eye, the elders were already in front of her. All of them unleashed their most powerful attacks and planned to kill Yin Luofeng. No one hesitated. If they hesitated, they would be entangled by the vines. Yin Luofeng, you are extremely audacious. Today, we will kill you and tell the world that the 3 aristocratic families cannot be shaken. As for your apprentice, she deserves it. Boom, 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 boom. Countless Holy Spirit cultivators' power surged into the sky, causing the sky to darken. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Under the fierce wind, the young girl's expression did not change. She was charming and cold, and her deep black eyes were like a vast ocean, so deep that they seemed to be able to attract people. At the same time, countless swords floated around her. These swords floated in the air, emitting a bone-chilling coldness. Hua! When the elders arrived in front of Yin Luofeng, the long swords finally moved. They flew towards the elders in an orderly manner, and as they sliced through the air, they left behind deep shadows. When I was in the medical tower, I said this: "Those who obey me, you'll have the world. Those who defy me, you'll have hell." Pucci! The long swords blocked the attacks of the elders. It was as if a wave of power had ruthlessly struck their chests, causing them to immediately feel a bone-piercing pain. One of the elders seemed to have sensed something and raised his head in shock. "You're a Holy Spirit?" Holy Spirit. The master of the medical tower was actually a Holy Spirit? Yin Luofeng's lips curled up coldly. "I'm sorry, I just happened to break through to the Holy Spirit level last night." Rumble. It was like thunder rolling in the sky. Everyone present was dumbfounded. Lin Ruobai was able to fight with these elders, but they could see that his body had changed, causing his strength to increase rapidly. But Yin Luofeng had truly become a Holy Spirit. Chapter 1124. She wasn't even 20 years old. There had never been such a genius in history. Holy Spirit practitioner? Impossible. You said that you broke through to Holy Spirit practitioner last night, but a Holy Spirit practitioner's breakthrough would cause a commotion. Why didn't we notice it? The gray-robed elder gritted his teeth and asked, "There's no need for you to know about this." Yin Luofeng raised his eyebrows, showing his arrogance. His beautiful figure stood in the wind, so beautiful that people couldn't look away. The vines didn't launch a surprise attack this time. Instead, they wrapped around the elders' bodies and tied them tightly to their bodies. The elders' faces turned pale from the initial shock. Finally, they looked defeated, as if they were facing death calmly. "Master!" Suddenly, an anxious voice came from the side. Yin Luofeng turned around and saw Milk Tea carrying Nangong Yuni as she walked over quickly. "Nangong!" Yin Luofeng was stunned. In a flash, he appeared next to Milk Tea and took Nangong Yuni's body. Anger surged in his heart. Who hurt him like this? No wonder Nangong Yuni didn't come out when she caused such a commotion. So even Nangong Yuni had fallen into their hands. Nangong Qing's expression was very ugly. He didn't think that Nangong Lan would torture Nangong Yuni like this. Fortunately, this kid was no longer his son. Otherwise, he would definitely die of heartache. "Master!" The Rat Empress walked over and threw Nangong Lan on the ground. She raised her head and looked at Yin Luofeng. Master Nangong was hurt by this woman. Yin Luofeng's brows furrowed even tighter. "Where's Xiaobai?" "You didn't find Xiaobai?" Milk Tea and the Rat Empress looked at each other. Even though they couldn't bear it, they still answered truthfully. "Master, Xiaobai was nailed to the wall by a soul nail. The Rat Empress and I didn't dare to act rashly, so we came to find you to save Xiaobai." "Soul nail?" The anger in Yin Luofeng's heart grew stronger and stronger. He glanced coldly at everyone from the Nangong family. "I said that if she bleeds even a drop of blood, everyone from the 3 great families will die. But not only did you make her bleed, you also made her suffer such pain. So, I will make you suffer for eternity. Rat Empress, take care of these people. Milk Tea, come with me to save Little White." As he spoke, Yin Luofeng had already flashed into the distance. Thus, Only the echoes of his words could be heard in the courtyard. Yin Luofeng followed behind Milk Tea and quickly entered the cell. When she saw Lin Ruobai nailed to the wall, her heart clenched fiercely. Milk Tea, move aside. I'll help her remove the soul nail. The soul nail could suppress the spiritual qi in a cultivator's body. At the same time, it could also consume a human soul until the soul dissipated. After Milk Tea retreated, Yin Luofeng gathered all the spiritual energy in her palm. Her palm landed lightly on Lin Ruobai's head. Her tone was no longer as domineering as before. Instead, it was gentle. Xiaobai, I'm sorry. I've come late. When you left Spiritual God Mountain and chose to follow me, I had already made up my mind to ensure your safety. But, in the end, I still couldn't protect you. You were injured again and again. However, I can make anyone who hurts you pay a price 1,000 times worse than you. Lin Ruobai didn't make a sound. If it wasn't for the faint beard at the tip of her nose, perhaps Yin Luofeng would have thought that she had already passed away. Xiaobai, when I help you remove the soul nail, it will hurt a little. You must endure it no matter what. Chapter 1125. Poof! After Yin Luofeng poured her spiritual power into Lin Ruobai's body, her body suddenly trembled, and a soul nail was forced out of her body. However, there were still hundreds of soul nails in Lin Ruobai's body. These soul nails were connected to the soul, and if one wasn't careful, the soul would suffer irreparable damage. Therefore, Yin Luofeng was very careful with every step, afraid that she would hurt Lin Ruobai's soul. Time was racing against time, and the sky outside the prison also darkened. Unknowingly, Yin Luofeng's back was already soaked in sweat, and it stuck to her back tightly. Milk Tea clenched her small fists tightly and looked at Yin Luofeng worriedly. Master, why don't you rest for a while? If this goes on, your body won't be able to take it. Yin Luofeng didn't seem to hear Milk Tea's words. The spiritual power in her body flowed freely into Lin Ruobai's body, completely ignoring the consequences of her body drying up. Fortunately, the divine grimoire space could provide her with spiritual power. Otherwise, she would have collapsed long ago. Even so, the divine grimoire supply couldn't compare to the supply she gave to Lin Ruobai. That peerlessly beautiful and moving face had already become pale and colorless at this moment. The nails in Lin Ruobai's body decreased, and the number of soul nails piled up on the ground increased. Perhaps because the soul nails were removed, Lin Ruobai's soul was stimulated, causing her brows to involuntarily furrow, as if she was enduring a great deal of pain. Finally, under Yin Luofeng's coercion, the last soul nail was forced out of her body. Her body also uncontrollably fell to the ground. Xiaobai, Yin Luofeng's footsteps staggered slightly, and she propped herself up so that she didn't fall. When she looked up, she saw Lin Ruobai's body suddenly fall down. She quickly took 2 steps forward and tightly hugged her fallen body. After the soul nails were removed, Lin Ruobai's brows also relaxed. Her expression was very peaceful as she quietly fell into Yin Luofeng's arms. Yin Luofeng hugged Lin Ruobai's body tightly, and her expression was very calm. So calm that it was like the calm before the storm. Master! Milk Tea opened her mouth, and her eyes gazed at Yin Luofeng with concern. Even though Yin Luofeng was expressionless, Milk Tea could feel that her heart was bleeding. Milk Tea, put away the soul spikes. I still have use for them. Yin Luofeng's slender fingers gently stroked Lin Ruobai's hair. A warm smile appeared on her beautiful face. Xiaobai, sleep in peace. I will avenge you. After saying this, Yin Luofeng carefully placed Lin Ruobai on the ground. She took out a few silver needles from her ring and pierced them into Lin Ruobai's temples. Master? Milk Tea saw Yin Luofeng's actions and asked curiously, What are you doing? Yin Luofeng stood up. Lin Ruobai's soul is heavily injured, and I don't have any medicinal ingredients to help her recover her soul strength at the moment. If she doesn't recover soon, her soul will quickly dissipate. So, I used a needle to seal her soul in her body. I'll wake her up after I find the medicinal ingredients. Master, put Lin Ruobai in the grimoire space. Little Mo's voice sounded from within his soul. The spirit chi in the temple space can help her repair her body so that her body will not be damaged. Yin Luofeng was startled. Only spirit beasts can enter the divine grimoire space? Chapter 1126. Master, you've sealed Lin Ruobai's soul, so she's now a body without a soul. The divine grimoire won't reject her entry. Little Mo explained patiently. Yin Luofeng nodded. All right, then I'll put her in the divine grimoire first. Next, it's time for me to settle the score with these people. As she finished speaking, she waved her hand, and the girl lying on the ground disappeared without a trace. Then, she turned and walked out of the prison. At this moment, the girl's aura was terrifying. She was like a demon from hell, so powerful that it made people feel fear from the bottom of their hearts. The Nangong family. Inside the courtyard, under the pressure of the Rat Queen, no one dared to move. Like birds startled by the mere twang of a bough, their eyes were filled with fear. In the past, they could still rely on the ancestral elders. Unfortunately, the ancestral elders had already been tied up by vines. Having lost their protection, they didn't even dare to run away. Amidst this fear, Yin Luofeng slowly walked over from the front. The cold moonlight shone down, enveloping the girl's snow-white dress. However, it couldn't cover up her terrifying aura. With every step she took, everyone's hearts trembled. The fear in their eyes had already turned into despair. Yin Luofeng. Nangong Uni was startled when he saw Yin Luofeng come alone. You couldn't save your disciple? Yin Luofeng shook her head. I've already sent her to a safe place. Don't worry. I'm here now to settle the score with the Nangong family. Her aura didn't change. Her evil eyes turned towards Nangong Qing. Previously, I gave you a chance because of Nangong Uni, but I didn't think that you wouldn't take advantage of it. Nangong Qing's expression changed. You said you gave me a chance because of Ia? What a joke. If you really thought of him as a friend, you wouldn't have fed me poison. Yun Luofeng's black eyes were deep and serene. What I gave you wasn't poison, but a great tonic. Originally, I wanted Nangong to tell you everything when he returned. Who knew that you wouldn't give him the chance? A great tonic? Nangong Qing's eyes widened and his body trembled. You're lying to me. This is impossible, absolutely impossible. If you don't believe me, you can feel the power in your body. Is it much stronger than before? Yun Luofeng's voice was very calm, so calm that no emotion could be heard. Nangong Uni clearly knew that the current Yin Luofeng was so angry that he wanted to kill someone. However, in order to make Nangong Qing regret for the rest of his life, she temporarily suppressed the anger in her heart. Nangong Qing was shocked and quickly sat down cross-legged. As he inspected his body, his expression became more and more unsightly. That's right. This was not a poison. Instead, it strengthened his physique. The funny thing was that he actually thought that it was poison and didn't hesitate to commit such a huge mistake. I gave you the tonic for Nangong. If you weren't Nangong's father, I would have treated you the same as the other two aristocratic families. The girl's evil and awe-inspiring voice cut through the void and fell into everyone's ears. Nangong Uni looked at the young girl, standing in the wind, and the corners of his lips curled into a smile. Yin Luofeng was a person who cherished old friendships. Even if she didn't like Nangong Qing, she would still have shown mercy for him. Unfortunately, Nangong Qing didn't properly cherish this opportunity. As a result, he was reduced to eternal damnation. Chapter 1127. Nangong Qing staggered to his feet and shook his head. His face was pale as he said, Why? Why did this happen? All right, you said you were merciful because of Nangong Uni, but Nangong is not my son. He's just a bastard. If you knew this, you would still have poisoned me. Ha ha ha. After he finished speaking, Nangong Qing started laughing maniacally. His bloodshot eyes were fixed on Nangong Uni. Yin Luofeng subconsciously turned to look at Nangong Uni before looking at Nangong Qing. You said that Nangong is not your son? Where's the evidence? Nangong Qing laughed mockingly. His mother is Agb*tch. Back then, I loved her so much, but she had an affair with my brother and gave birth to that ****. Nangong Uni. The funny thing is that I was kept in the valley and even planned to pass the Nangong family to Nangong Uni. Your brother? Nangong Chun? Yin Luo Feng laughed coldly. Milk tea? Rat Empress, bring Nangong Chun to me. Nangong Qing was stunned. He didn't understand how Yin Luo Feng knew Nangong Chen's name. Just as he finished speaking, Milk Tea and the Rat Empress disappeared. The gold-seeking rats were very fast and were very good at finding people. Hence, it didn't take long for the tortured Nangong Chun to be brought before them. Mu Qianqian and her daughter had a bad feeling when they saw Nangong Chun being brought here. Behave yourself. Milk Tea threw the struggling Nangong Chun on the ground and warned him fiercely. Nangong Chun was confused. He looked at the ancestral elder who was tied up by the vines, and then at the pale Nangong Qing. He clearly didn't understand what was going on. At this moment, a bone-chilling voice came from beside him, causing his body to freeze. Do you know Yang Shui? Yang Shui? Nangong Chun was stunned. He quickly raised his head and stared at the beautiful girl next to him. What do you mean? The girl's lips curled into a cold smile. Her black eyes were deep. Your first love, Yang Shui, is already dead. Boom! Nangong Chen's body trembled. He quickly got up from the ground and angrily charged at Yin Luo Feng. Bang! Before he could reach Yin Luo Feng, the girl lifted her leg and kicked him into the crowd. Nangong Chun coughed twice and spat out a mouthful of blood. His handsome face looked hideous. Nonsense. Shui, can't be dead. She's definitely not dead. If you don't believe me, you can ask Mu Qianqian to bring her here. You can see if she will hand over your men. In an instant, everyone's eyes focused on Mu Qianqian's face. Mu Qianqian's face turned pale, and she glared angrily at Yin Luo Feng. Don't you try to frame me. I don't know this Yang Shui. I don't even know who she is. Suddenly, Nangong Chun got up again and dashed toward Mu Qianqian. Mu Qianqian didn't have Yin Luofeng's reflexes, so her clothes were instantly grabbed by Nangong Chun. His face was ferocious as he roared, Mu Qianqian, what did you promise me? As long as I listen to you and frame Nangong Uni and his mother, you'll let Shui go. It's been more than 20 years. Where have you hidden my Shui in these 20 years? Return her to me. Return her to me. Nangong Chun screamed at the top of his lungs. His blood-red eyes looked as if he wanted to devour someone. Chapter 1128. You lunatic, let go of me. Mu Qianqian raised her hand and slapped Nangong Chun across the face. She was so angry that her entire body was trembling. I've already said that I don't know who Yang Shui is. I don't know what you're talking about either. Where am I supposed to find someone for you? Nangong Chun burst into laughter. As he laughed, tears began to stream down his cheeks. Mu Qianqian, I shouldn't have listened to you and framed Nangong Uni and his mother. Otherwise, I wouldn't have harmed two innocent people. In the end, I couldn't even save Shui. Don't think that I don't know that Nangong Lan is not my big brother's daughter. She's a bastard child that you had after a night of flirting with another man. In order to find a scapegoat, you plotted against my big brother while he was drunk. Nangong Chen's lips curled into a sarcastic smile. He recalled everything that he had done for the past 20 years. He really wanted to give himself 2 tight slaps across the face. However, after hearing his words, Nangong Qing's body froze. He widened his eyes in disbelief and glared at Nangong Chun. What did you just say? Fu was wrongly accused by you? Is really my son? He must be lying. This is impossible. Nangong Chun sneered. Big brother, you're really stupid. You believe everything that Mu Qianqian and I say. Your beloved woman has never betrayed you. Is indeed your son. Boom! As if a bolt of lightning had struck his head, Nangong Qing's face turned as red as a pig's liver. His body trembled as he looked at Nangong Uni, who was covered in wounds. He felt a pang in his heart. Fu did not betray me. Is really my son. What on earth is he doing? He chased away his beloved woman and caused his only son to suffer such serious injuries. You're lying. Nangong Lan charged towards Nangong Chun like a madman, her fists hammered fiercely on his body. I'm a daughter of the Nangong family. I'm my father's child. You dare accuse me of shielding Nangon Uni? Who does Nangon Uni think he is? What right does he have to be my father's son? Nangong Chun did not dodge and allowed Nangong Lan to hammer him fiercely. At this moment, he was already prepared to die. Since Shui was already dead, what was the point of him living on? If he couldn't protect her when she was alive, he wouldn't let anyone hurt her when he was in hell. Nangong Qing looked at Nangong Uni with a pained expression. His face was filled with guilt. Father is too much of a bastard. I actually thought that you were Nangong Chen's bastard. It's father's fault. Father has let you down. He begged for Nangong Uni's forgiveness, not only because Nangong Uni was his son, but also because he had a good relationship with Yin Luofeng. If Nangong Uni forgave him, Yin Luofeng would definitely let him go for his sake. Unfortunately, Nangong Qing had guessed wrongly this time. The Nangong family had harmed Xiaobai. They would not be able to atone for their sins even if they were to die 10,000 times. What's more, Nangong Uni saw through his thoughts with a single glance. He turned his head and ignored him. Not to mention that he had no feelings for his father. Even if he did, he would still stand by Yun Luofeng's side. Plop! Nangong Qing suddenly knelt on the ground, tears of regret streaming down his face. I won't ask for your forgiveness. I only hope that you can let me go on account of how well I've treated you in the past. Furthermore, using the soul spikes to deal with Lin Ruobai was the ancestral elder's idea. I wasn't the one who injured you. I'm innocent. Chapter 1129. Even now, Nangong Qing was still trying to absolve himself of his mistakes and wanted to push all the blame onto someone else. From the moment you thought I was a bastard, you were no longer my father. Nangong Uni's face revealed a cold smile. I won't feel any sympathy for you. Was he ruthless? Did he really not care about how well Nangong Qing treated him? No, it was because he understood Nangong Qing's personality. This man was vicious and merciless. He would not stop until he reached his goal. Now that the Nangong family had fallen in Yun Luofeng's hands, how could he let it go? No matter how much Nangong Qing loved him, it couldn't compare to his friendship with Yin Luofeng over the years. For Yin Luofeng, he would not be soft-hearted. Nangong Uni, Nangong Qing said angrily. Are you really so heartless? I'm still your father. If you kill your father, won't you be struck by lightning? Nangong Uni wanted to continue speaking, but Yin Luofeng raised his hand and stopped her. You don't need to find trouble with Nangong. The young girl raised her eyebrows. Even if he pleads for you, I won't spare anyone from the three great families. Nangong Qing's face was ashen, his eyes filled with despair. Suddenly, the young girl's domineering voice appeared in everyone's mind. Those who obey me, you have the world. Those who defy me, you can walk through hell. If they submitted to her, with her strength, they could have a share of the world in the future. But if they defy her, they could only walk in that endless hell. Previously, you used soul nails to nail Xiaobai to the wall, causing her to suffer great pain. Now, I will return this pain to you 1,000 times over. Yun Luofeng extended his hand towards Milk Tea. Milk Tea, give me the soul nails you just picked up. Milk Tea didn't know what Yin Luofeng wanted to do, but she still took out the soul nails. Use fire to burn these soul nails for a full 7 days. Then soak them in poison lingji juice for 5 days. After drying them, nail these people to the pillars. After 49 days, their souls will fly away and scatter. These people had only used ordinary soul nails on Lin Ruobai, which could only consume her soul, causing her to suffer the pain of her soul being consumed. Moreover, it required hundreds of soul nails to have this effect. But after Yin Luofeng changed these soul nails, they were no longer like this. A single soul spike was enough to make them experience pain that was thousands of times worse than what Lin Ruobai had experienced. Lin Ruobai's soul was being consumed, and his strength was being locked away. Their souls, on the other hand, felt like they were in purgatory at all times. How could an ordinary person endure that kind of pain? Unfortunately, the purgatory was burning their souls, so they couldn't faint even if they wanted to. More importantly, the soul nails that Lin Ruobai was enduring would cause her soul to scatter within 10 days. In other words, she only had to endure 10 days of pain. However, the soul nail that had been modified by Yun Luofeng only lasted for 49 days before its soul dissipated. No! Nangong Lan screamed. Yin Luofeng, are you even human? How can you be so vicious? I definitely don't want to be tortured like this. Her body was trembling and her face was pale. Vicious? Yin Luofeng laughed coldly. When you tortured Whitey, did you ever think of being vicious? When you broke Nangong Lan's bones, did you ever think that you were too vicious? Yin Luofeng, do not repay evil with good. I only know how to fight poison with poison. Chapter 11:30. Nangong Lan's body softened, and she fell to the ground. She opened her beautiful eyes in despair. Her eyes were empty and lifeless. Milk tea. I'll leave the punishment for these people to you. Rat Empress, bring the Rat Clan to watch over the other two families. I'll go back and treat Nangong first. I'll settle the score with the other two families later. News of what she had done to the Nangong nobles would soon reach those two families. Hence, she had asked the Rat Empress to lead the Rat Clan's troops to detain them. This was to prevent those people from escaping secretly. When Yin Luofeng bent down to carry Nangong Uni, Nangong Uni's body was pulled by her. He grimaced in pain. Yin Luofeng, are you still a woman? Can't you be gentler? Yin Luofeng glanced at him. There's no need to be gentle with you. Nangong Uni's handsome face darkened, and he complained, you master and servant really have the same virtue. It's really like master, like pet. Hearing this, Yin Luofeng slightly narrowed his eyes. He used his palm to forcefully slap Nangong Uni's broken bones. Nangong Uni cried out in pain. Yin Luofeng. He gritted his teeth and called out, Nangong, you were injured by Nangong Lan to this extent? Yin Luofeng's lips curled into an evil smile. Where are the spiritual beasts I gave you? Nangong Uni said embarrassedly. Nangong Lan used your disciple's life to threaten me. I had no choice but to take back the two spiritual beasts. You studied in Huaxia for so many years. Is your brain filled with glue? Yin Luofeng sneered. She threatened you, and you took back the spiritual beasts? If capturing Xiao Bai was just to make me hand over the antidote, it wouldn't harm her life. Why can't you even understand this? Furthermore, Yin Luofeng paused. They couldn't kill Xiao Bai. Otherwise, they wouldn't have used the soul nails to restrain her. Nangong Uni rubbed the back of his head. His face was full of shame. I didn't think that much in a moment. Remember, no matter what you do in the future, use your brain to think carefully. Don't be too impulsive. Yin Luofeng looked at Nangong again. You and Xiao Bai are both very important to me. I don't wish for anyone by my side to be injured, especially injuries that don't need to be. Nangong Uni's own strength was not weak, and with the addition of the two spiritual beasts, he was actually beaten to such a state by Nangong Lan. Thank you. Just as Yin Luofeng was about to leave, she suddenly heard a voice coming from her shoulder, causing her to stop in her tracks. Nangong, she smiled, very soon, I will leave the limitless continent. At that time, I will wait for you on another continent. I will wait for you to become stronger and find me. Nangong Uni's voice was filled with unswerving determination. All right, I'll definitely look for you. This was his promise to her, a lifetime commitment. After returning to the medical tower, Yin Luofeng began treating Nangong Uni's injuries. Because Nangong Uni's injuries were too severe, it would not be easy to treat him. Therefore, he estimated that it would take a few days before Nangong Uni's injuries could recover. It was also at this time that Mu Chu, who had been sent by Yin Luofeng to train in the dragon pool, returned. Miss Yin, I've already retrieved the dragon scale from the mission you gave me. I wonder if I can now join your medical tower? Mu Chu's body swayed a little. Half of his face was stained with blood. One of his fingers revealed the eerie white bone, and his clothes were tattered. Chapter 11:31. All right. Yin Luofeng nodded slightly as he looked at Mu Chu, who was standing in front of him. Go and rest first. I will get someone to treat your injuries. Also, come with me to the Wu family tomorrow. Mu Chu was startled. He looked at Yin Luofeng happily. Are you saying that you plan to bring me to save my sister tomorrow? He had just returned to Endless City and did not understand what had happened. He did not know how much of a commotion Yun Luofeng's actions had caused in Endless City today. Following the destruction of the Nangong clan, the three great clans were in a state of panic. Especially after they heard about Yun Luofeng's inhumane actions, they panicked and regretted their actions. Patriarch Wu, the O family patriarch, was filled with endless regret. His face was filled with grief. I never thought that Yun Luofeng, that woman, would actually annihilate all the ancestral elders of our three great families by herself. What should we do now? Are we just going to sit here and wait for death? What should we do? Clan Master Wu let out a bitter laugh. His body softened and fell to the ground. His eyes were filled with despair and pain. What else can we do? Are we going to give up everything and escape? Even if we start all over again, it won't be difficult with our strength. It's better than dying here, the O Clan Master said with determination. Indeed, starting all over again was better than dying here. Then let's leave now. It'll be too late if we're late. The Wu Clan Master gritted his teeth and stood up. His eyes flashed with determination. The two of them did not even plan to prepare anything and were about to leave in a hurry. However, at this moment, a panicked voice was heard. Master, something bad has happened. The people from a medical tower have surrounded the Wu clan. A servant stumbled over. He sounded like he was about to cry, and his eyes were filled with anxiety. What? The Wu clan master's face turned pale. The medical tower is so fast. We're doomed. This time, we're definitely doomed. The O clan master's eyes darkened. How is the O clan? He had originally come to discuss how to deal with the medical tower with the Wu clan master, who knew that Yun Luofeng would attack the Nangong clan. At first, they did not think much of it. After all, the elders were here. No matter how strong Yun Luofeng was, he would die in the Nangong clan. However, things didn't go according to plan. When they heard that all the ancestral elders had fallen into Yun Luofeng's hands, they began to panic. If they lost these ancestral elders, the three great clans would only amount to so much. The people from the medical tower also went to the O clan. The servant's voice trembled. They saw that the O clan lord wasn't there, so they burned the O clan to the ground. What? Patriarch O's body swayed a few times, and he almost fell to the ground. He stared at the servant with an ashen face. Did you just say that my O clan was burned down by the people of the medical tower? The O clan's clan master's eyes were blood red at this moment. His eyes were bloodshot, and he looked as if he wanted to eat someone alive. This scared the servant so much that his whole body trembled. What a good Yun Luofeng. She actually dared to do such an outrageous thing. She won't have a good death. The O clan's master gnashed his teeth in hatred. If Yun Luofeng was in front of him, he would probably want to drink her blood and eat her flesh. Patriarch Wu sat paralyzed on the ground and asked in despair. This time, we've already lost. Moreover, they were defeated by a new force in Endless City. Chapter 1132. Patriarch O sneered. His smile was sinister and terrifying, and a ruthless glint flashed in his eyes. That's not necessarily true. Today, after leaving the medical tower, I've asked my daughter to temporarily leave Endless City and go to her fiancé's side. My goal is to prevent her from being accidentally injured in this incident. If my daughter finds out that we've died at the hands of the medical tower, she'll definitely avenge us. Patriarch Wu's eyes dimmed. Even if Oya managed to escape this time, so what if she avenged them in the end? She can no longer save their lives. Whoosh! At that moment, a crowd surged outside the door. Patriarch Wu, who was thinking of countermeasures, saw a group of people walking in from outside the courtyard, and his expression changed completely. The leader of the group was a young girl in white. Even the words, peerless beauty, were insufficient to describe her beauty. Patriarch Wu and Patriarch O knew that their time was up. Their faces were extremely pale, and their bodies could not help but tremble. Muchu! Suddenly, Patriarch Wu caught a glimpse of the man standing next to Yun Luofeng. His expression changed abruptly, and he roared angrily. You traitor! How dare you collude with Yun Luofeng? You want to harm our Wu family? We raised you and your sister for so many years. You're an ingrate. Yin Luofeng's evil eyes glanced at the furious patriarch Wu, and he said casually, he has been loyal to you for so many years, and he has already repaid you for raising him and his sister. Furthermore, you used his sister to threaten him, and you even wanted to marry her to a cripple. How is he going to settle this score with you? Mu Chu's handsome face instantly darkened, and he clenched his fists tightly. His eyes were filled with anger as he stared coldly at Patriarch Wu. You want to marry my sister to a cripple? Patriarch Wu did not expect Yin Luofeng to know about this, and his old face was filled with astonishment. That's right, he came back to his senses and said with a sneer, I do want to marry her to a cripple, but what can I do about it? That cripple is willing to exchange an extremely precious medicinal herb for her. Your little bitch has been eating and drinking in my Wu family for so many years. Don't you think she needs to take revenge? Do I have to raise her for nothing? Boom! Mu Chu's anger erupted from the top of his head as he angrily said, Freeloading? All these years, I've been a guard for the Wu family. Aside from food and clothing, what else have I received from the Wu family? We eat plain tea and eat plain food and wear sackcloth clothes. But for so many years, we've never even mentioned our monthly allowance, and you're saying that we're freeloaders? When he thought of the grievances the siblings had suffered all these years, the rage in his heart couldn't help but surge out and spread out in a destructive manner. Mu Chu, how dare you? Facing Yin Luofeng, Patriarch Wu didn't dare to say anything. But Mu Chu was a member of the Wu clan, and he had always been loyal. Thus, he completely ignored Yin Luofeng's existence and glared at him. Who gave you the courage to say such words? If it weren't for the fact that you and your sister are homeless, I wouldn't have taken you in. Now that I've accepted the two of you, you still dare to make other requests? I won't even give you a copper coin, let alone a monthly salary. That's right. In Patriarch Wu's heart, he was already exceptionally benevolent to give the siblings a meal, yet he still dared to ask for a monthly salary? Chapter 1133. Who has given him the face to say something like this? Mu Chu, you must remember that the Wu family has no lack of guards. However, not only are you not grateful to the Wu family, you're even speaking in such a shameless manner. You'd better think about how much the Wu family has done for you. Yin Luofeng crossed his arms over his chest, and his lips curled into an evil smile. She did not speak, but watched to see how Mu Chu would deal with the Wu family. Mu Chu's eyes slowly filled with disappointment. He had previously been grateful to the Wu family for adopting him. That was why he had obeyed Yin Luofeng and made such a request. However, the Wu family did not seem to remember his years of protection. Instead, they thought that he had received the Wu family's kindness. That year, in order to protect my cousin's sister, your daughter, I nearly lost my life at the hands of spiritual beasts. However, I've never used this kindness to blackmail the Wu family. I've always played my part as a guard. Master Wu scoffed coldly at the disappointed Mu Chu. You protected her willingly. I didn't force you. Why do you have to blackmail the Wu family with this? Mu Chu shook his head. He could no longer speak. Perhaps he should have given up from the moment the Wu family had poisoned his sister in order to force him to go to the medical tower to get close to Yin Luofeng. TSK, a tree that doesn't want its bark will surely die. A shameless man is invincible. A little girl in fiery red robes took 2 steps forward and stood next to Yin Luofeng. Her tender little face was curled into a mocking smile, and her large, bright eyes were filled with mockery. I've lived for so many years, and this is the first time I've seen such a shameless person. Master Wu's expression was extremely ugly. He glared at Mu Chu. What are you still standing there for? Get your ass over here right now. Mu Chu did not move. He stood quietly next to Yin Luofeng and stared expressionlessly at Master Wu. Master Wu's expression became more and more unsightly. He turned to Yin Luofeng and said, Yin Luofeng, you clearly heard what I said to him just now. That's right. Mu Chu is a member of our Wu family. He is also a spy I sent to your medical tower. If you keep him by your side, he will definitely be a threat to you. Since you betrayed the Wu family, I won't let you off easily either. A ruthless glint flashed across Master Wu's eyes as he glanced at Mu Chu evilly. Yin Luofeng gently stroked his chin, his deep black eyes filled with a smile. I already knew about this matter. What did you say? Patriarch Wu was shocked. He did not believe that Mu Chu would have the guts to reveal his identity, unless he didn't want to save his sister. From the first day Mu Chu entered the medical tower, he had already confessed everything. So, I already knew that he was a member of the Wu family. Yin Luofeng's face held an evil smile. As for how I knew that you wanted to marry his sister off to a cripple, that was because I had sent people to keep an eye on her. I have also cured the poison in her body. Patriarch Wu staggered a few more steps back and fell on his chair. Impossible. This is impossible. He didn't believe that he would lose everything. Mu Chu. Yin Luofeng gently raised his eyes. I'll leave the Wu family to you. I hope that you won't disappoint me. Mu Chu's expression was slightly complicated, but he still replied respectfully, Yes, Tower Master. Seeing the people from the medical tower surrounding the Wu family, Patriarch Wu's body trembled, and he shouted hoarsely, Yin Luofeng, if you dare to accept Mu Chu, you will regret it. This boy has betrayed me now, and he will betray you in the future. Just wait and see, ha 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 ha. Chapter 1134. A light flashed across Yin Luofeng's eyes as she fell into deep thought. After a long while, she lifted her head to look at Mu Chu and asked, Have you made the arrangements for your sister? Mu Chu's eyes filled with gratitude when he heard this. I really don't know how to thank you. If it weren't for your help, my sister and I would still be under the Wu family's control. You don't have to thank me. I only need you to repay me with your own power. Yin Luofeng smiled calmly. I'm different from the master of the Wu family. I won't restrict your freedom or deduct your monthly allowance. However, I only have one request. You are never allowed to betray the medical tower. A murderous intent flashed across her eyes as she spoke. A powerful aura spread from her body, so powerful that it made it hard for one to breathe. If I find out that you have the slightest intention of betrayal, you know what I will do. Mu Chu's heart suddenly trembled. With a determined look on his face, he said, Tower Master, I will never betray the medical tower. All right, you may leave. Yin Luofeng waved her hand and leaned tiredly against the chair. She had a lazy expression on her face, and her eyes were gently closed. Yes. Seeing Yin Luofeng's tired look, Mu Chu wanted to say more, but in the end, he cupped his fists and retreated. The moment he left, Yin Luofeng opened her eyes and rubbed the space between her brows. Her voice also carried a hint of exhaustion. Yin Xiao, I'll be able to find you very soon. She had already broken through to become a holy spirit and was now qualified to head to another mainland. Now, she only needed to wait for a while. At this moment, in a luxurious palace far from Endless City, a man was half leaning on his head. His fine black hair cascaded down the bed like a waterfall. The man only wore a red cloak under the gauze curtains. His fair body was faintly discernible. He was so beautiful that it was indescribable. If one were to use a common term to describe this man, it would be coquettish slut. Master! A maidservant walked in from outside the door and reported respectfully, News has come from Endless City. The medical tower has destroyed the 3 aristocratic families. Oh! Hearing this, the man raised his head slightly. His hair that covered half of his face scattered to the side, revealing the cinnabar between his eyebrows, making him look even more seductive than a woman. If such a man were to disguise himself as a woman, no one would doubt his gender. Her name is Yin Luofeng. A sense of interest flashed in the man's eyes, and his lips curled into a smile. Interesting. This woman is very interesting. I haven't seen such an interesting woman in a long time. By the way, what happened to that old man called Lin Yu? The maidservant joined her fists and said, Ever since Yin Luofeng chased Lin Yu out of the medical tower, he has been waiting for an opportunity to take revenge. Master, should we stop him? This old man named Lin Yu was the one who had humiliated Yin Luofeng at the banquet and believed that he would definitely become one of the higher-ups of the Tower of Medicine. Unfortunately, he simply did not know that Yin Luofeng was the Tower Master of the medical tower. As a result, he was kicked out of the medical tower by Yun Luofeng and joined this faction. Don't worry about him. If he has the ability, let him take his own revenge. The man gently narrowed his eyes, and the smile on his lips was seductive. However, that woman is not someone he can handle. Besides, I had asked him to go to the medical tower to get close to Yun Luofeng, yet he had messed it up and even tried to shirk his responsibility. I don't know if he's stupid or if he thinks that I'm stupid. Chapter 1135. The man turned his head slightly. His hair covered the side of his face, revealing his seductive red lips. You can leave first. Report to me if there's any news of Yun Luofeng. Yes, master. The maidservant cupped her fists and left. After the maidservant closed the door, the man slowly sat up on the bed. His long and narrow almond-shaped eyes carried an indecipherable smile. I heard that Yun Luofeng's disciple's soul has been injured. In order to heal his soul, he must consume the fruit of the soul. The man gently stroked his chin and smiled. So, Tian Luo, bring me the fruit of the soul. I'm going to hold a doctor's meeting. We'll use the fruit of the soul as a reward. Yun Luofeng will certainly be tempted to come. He fell silent for a moment before he continued. Also, let Lin Yu hold the fruit of the soul. That day, I'd sent this old fart to the medical tower as a spy to find out Yun Luofeng's power. Who would have thought that he'd offend her? Since that's the case, I'll use this old thing to send him to Yun Luofeng and let her play with him. In the room, a shadow suddenly flashed out. After he cupped his fists toward the man on the bed, he instantly disappeared from the room. The man stared in the direction of the shadow guard departure and seemed to be mumbling to himself. Yun Luofeng, the one chosen by the divine Dr. Zhu Qian. I like to see just how powerful you are. If Yun Luofeng could hear the man's words, he would certainly be extremely shocked. He actually knows that I've received Zhu Qian's inheritance. Then, where did he come from? The man paused, and a seductive smile appeared on his beautiful face. If my guess is correct, that disciple of hers should be from there. I don't know if staying by her side is a blessing or a curse. However, the one chosen by Zhu Qian will not fall because of such a small difficulty. I believe that she can go far. A few days later, a piece of news spread across the entire mainland and caused a sensation. The Ji family was the most mysterious force in the land of infinity. It was said that the master of the Ji family was very young and as beautiful as a flower. She looked like a woman, but her power was extraordinary, and she was cruel and merciless. Rumor had it that the master of the Ji family had broken through to the Holy Spirit rank, and her power was comparable to that of the royal family. Now, the Ji family wanted to use the soul fruit as revenge and wanted to hold a medical conference. This conference had shocked countless countries. In order to obtain the soul fruit, all the countries had sent their experts. The reason was none other than the fact that the soul fruit could enhance a cultivator's soul. It was a peerless treasure that could only be chanced upon. However, as Master Ji didn't like to meet outsiders, the medical conference wasn't held in Ji City, where Ji family was located. Instead, it was held in the neighboring city. As the host of the conference, Lin Yu received countless bootlicking from the doctors who had arrived. Under the endless praise of these people, he was already so happy that he couldn't tell north from south. At the same time, in the Ji family's residence, a man leaned lazily against the back of the bed on a luxurious bed. His foxy eyes glanced at Tian Luo, who was standing in front of him, and asked, "How did it go?" Reporting to Master, doctors for various countries have already come to participate in the conference. Where's Yun Luofeng? The man narrowed his eyes. This Yun Luofeng was his true target this time. Chapter 1136. She's not here yet. Tian Luo's head was lowered the entire time. His grim voice was filled with respect, and no one could see his expression clearly. The man's lips curled into a faint smile, displaying his natural charm. I can wait. We'll hold the meeting once Yun Luofeng has arrived. Also, how's Lin Yu's performance? Flushed with success. These 4 words summed up Lin Yu's recent situation. Let him be. The man smiled faintly. Lin Yu is full of lies. He cannot be allowed to live. Previously, he had humiliated Yun Luofeng in front of everyone. Treat this as a toy that I've sent to Yun Luo. As for this fruit of the soul, it's a gift from me to him. Tian Luo lowered his head without a word, but his heart was already filled with sympathy for Lin Yu, who had asked Lin Yu to make two fatal mistakes. First, he had humiliated Yun Luo in front of everyone. Next, he had pushed all the blame for his mistakes onto Yun Luo, spouting a string of lies. Master hates it when people lie. Based on this alone, Lin Yu must not be allowed to live. Tian Luo, continue to keep an eye on Lin Yu. Report to me when Yun Luo arrives. As you wish. Tian Luo joined his fists. His body was like a gentle breeze as he disappeared from where he stood. Spirit City. It was extraordinarily bustling. Lin Yu was all smiles as he welcomed the cultivators who came and went. He was truly flushed with success. How many years has it been? How many years has it been since I felt so pleased with myself? If I had not been lucky enough to join the Ji family, I probably would not have received such treatment. Yun Luo, when you had chased me out of the medicine tower that day, did you ever think that I would end up like this? When he thought of the task that the Ji family had given him, his elderly face wrinkled into a chrysanthemum flower as he smiled. In Lin Yu's eyes, Master had asked him to complete this task because he had taken a liking to his power. Otherwise, with so many people in the Ji family, why would he have asked him to host a meeting instead of someone else? Just then, Lin Yu's gaze pierced through the crowd and landed on a peerless figure on the street. The young girl's lips curled into a languid smile as her evil eyes swept across the crowd. Her snow-white robes, coupled with her peerless features, made it impossible for anyone to ignore her. Yun Luo. Lin Yu gritted his teeth and burst into laughter. I didn't think that you'd come to participate in the doctor's conference as well. However, you fall into my hands this time. I won't let you off. News of the Tower of Medicine's actions in Endless City had yet to spread. As such, Lin Yu did not know that the young girl had already broken through to become a holy spirit. Otherwise, he would definitely not dare to do something that he would regret for the rest of his life. As for how that seductive man from the Ji family knew about this, that was because there were spies from the Ji family in Endless City, so Yun Luofeng's actions could not be hidden from him. Yun Luofeng seemed to feel that someone was staring at her. She looked up, and in an instant, a pair of eyes filled with anger and hatred fell into her eyes. Does this count as enemies meeting on a narrow road? Yun Luofeng rubbed his nose, his evil smile carrying a hint of helplessness. However, Lin Yu's power was not enough to make her feel fearful. Lin Yu's eyes were blood red. Those who did not know the truth would think that Yun Luofeng was the person who had killed her father. Perhaps Yun Luofeng had long forgotten what had happened that day, but he could never forget the humiliation of being chased out of the medicine tower. Chapter 1137. Lord Lin Yu, this young lady is... The doctors who had come to participate in the conference were very sharp-eyed. They noticed Lin Yu's blood-red eyes and turned their attention towards Yun Luofeng in unison. A brainless person, Lin Yu scoffed icily as a cold smile hung on the corners of his lips. He placed his hands behind his back and walked towards Yun Luofeng. He then raised his chin and spoke in a domineering manner. Yun Luofeng, I never thought that you'd end up like this. Of course, if you beg me, I'll let you participate in the doctor's conference. Yun Luofeng's evil eyes swept towards Lin Yu and the corners of his lips twitched. Qingmu, take it out. Hearing this, the elderly man next to Yun Luofeng produced an invitation from his lapel and placed it in front of Yun Luofeng. Yun Luofeng took the invitation and stared coldly at Lin Yu. There was a sense of disdain in his eyes. This is an invitation from the Ji family. I wonder if the words of the master of the Ji family or your orders are more important in this doctor's conference. Lin Yu's eyes narrowed. He never thought that Yun Luofeng would embarrass him on the spot. Instantly, his elderly face sank. Yun Luofeng, I'm in charge of this doctor's conference. I must decide whether you can obtain the fruit of the soul. If you kneel down and beg me now, I'll let you go. Otherwise, he narrowed his eyes and a cold light flashed across his eyes. Get out of my way. Qing Yan's little face turned cold when she saw Lin Yu's rudeness. She stood in front of Yin Luofeng and held her sword horizontally in front of her. I'm talking to your master. What's a little girl like you interrupting? Get out of my way. Lin Yu frowned impatiently. His voice was filled with a cold light. Qin Yan's little face turned frosty. She used the sword in her hand to block Lin Yu, who was about to step forward, preventing him from getting close to Yin Luofeng. Yin Luofeng stood behind Qin Yan. Her dark eyes were filled with an evil smile, and the corners of her lips were curled into a beautiful angle. Just then, a man's voice rang out from outside the crowd. This voice was so soft and numbing that it was very enjoyable to listen to it. I've heard that the master of the Ji family has decided on the participants of this doctor's conference. No one has the right to change the participants without permission. I wonder who gave you the guts to overstep your authority? Behind the bustling crowd, a scarlet robe caught everyone's attention. He was a peerlessly beautiful man. How beautiful was she? Even the most beautiful rose couldn't compare to this man's seductiveness. His red robe fluttered in the wind, and his hair, which was like a waterfall, fluttered in the wind. His gorgeous red lips curled up slightly, and his smile was enough to turn all living things upside down. In particular, there was a cinnabar up between the man's eyebrows. The red was absolutely gorgeous, and it set off his coquettish temperament incisively and vividly. Yin Luofeng lifted his head and looked at the man who was walking over slowly. A look of surprise flashed in his eyes. This was the first time in her life that she had seen such a beautiful man. However, compared to a man's flirtatiousness, she preferred Yun Zhao's coldness and loyalty. Therefore, her astonishment only lasted for a brief moment before her eyes regained their calmness without the slightest fluctuation. Who are you? Lin Yu's expression sank. This is the Ji family's business. It has nothing to do with you. In the dark, Tian Luo sneered disdainfully when he heard Lin Yu's words. His master's position in the Ji family was unparalleled. The funny thing was that he had the audacity to question his master's identity. He even claimed that his master had no right to meddle in other people's business. Chapter 1138. Well, based on Lin Yu's abilities, he did not have the right to meet his master. You're not qualified to know my identity. The man's long and narrow almond-shaped eyes swept towards Lin Yu. His voice was cold and merciless, while his peerlessly beautiful features were filled with a gloomy air. His gaze was so eerie that it made one's heart tremble. Perhaps Lin Yu was frightened out of his wits. His entire body trembled, and he did not have the courage to meet the man's gaze. It was as if this man was like a demon god from hell. One look at him, and they would be consigned to eternal damnation. Just you wait. His eyes darkened a few times, and he coldly snorted as he flung his robe. I indeed don't have the right to refuse you, but the fruit of soul is up to me. If I don't give it to you, you can't get it. After saying his piece, Lin Yu flung his robes fiercely before he turned around and stormed off. The man narrowed his almond-shaped eyes and stared coldly in the direction where Lin Yu had left. His red lips curled into a mocking smile. He seemed to be talking to Yin Luofeng, but also seemed to be talking to himself. For this kind of mad dog, rather than letting him bite you, it's better to beat him to death. Yin Luofeng glanced at the flirtatious man beside him. I'm not a mad dog, so I won't fight with a mad dog. Moreover, if I fight with a mad dog, the only one who will suffer is you. The coquettish man's gaze finally turned towards Yin Luofeng. He gently raised his snow-white chin, his wild eyes staring deeply at the young girl standing in front of him. Don't you feel angry that he treated you like that? Yin Luofeng shrugged his shoulders. You've already said that he's a mad dog. As a human, how can I bicker with a mad dog? Oh, the man raised his eyebrows, and the interest in his eyes intensified. It seems that your temper is not bad. I have underestimated you. He had initially thought that she would not miss the opportunity to teach him a harsh lesson if he presented Lin Yu to her. However, he never expected that this young girl would be so broad-minded. He had gauged the heart of a gentleman with his own mean measure. Who knew where those rumors from the outside world came from? Didn't they say she was narrow-minded? He would never let himself suffer any grievances. If anyone insulted her, Would she attack them without saying a word? Who was the one who spread these rumors? Why hadn't he noticed? Just as the man's admiration for Yun Luofeng grew, Lin Yu's shriek rang out from the mansion not too far away. Where did so many gold-seeking mice come from? Someone, get these gold-seeking mice off my body. Help! Don't bite my ear. Then, a hubbub of noise could be heard. Perhaps the gold-seeking mice had all retreated, so they regained their composure. The man's lips twitched. I take back what I said. Broad-minded? If this woman had a big heart, then he would cut off his head and let Tian Luo kick it like a ball. Achoo! Tian Luo, who was hiding in the dark, couldn't help but sneeze. He rubbed his nose. He didn't know why, but he suddenly felt a chill down his spine. The mansion turned from its initial clamor into silence. Lin Yu, who had already left, rushed out angrily and glared at Yun Luofeng with fiery eyes. Did you release the gold-seeking mice just now? Yun Luofeng's evil eyes swept over him. Evidence. Aside from you, who else would do such a wicked thing? Lin Yu was so angry that he wanted to kill someone. He never thought that Yun Luofeng would be so sinister. Unfortunately, he couldn't find any evidence at all. Chapter 1139. Yes. Yun Luofeng nodded seriously and pointed at the seductive man next to her. Him. The man suddenly felt as if there was a fishbone stuck in his throat. His seductive face turned awkwardly towards Yun Luofeng. This little girl wants me to take the blame? Woman, we've only met once. There's no need for you to frame me. Even though he could crush Lin Yu as easily as crushing an ant, that did not mean he was willing to take the blame. I don't care which one of you is framing me. I'll show you what I'm capable of. A vicious light flashed across Lin Yu's eyes as he gritted his teeth and spoke. The seductive man's almond-shaped eyes gradually darkened. He had lived for so many years, yet no one had ever threatened him like this. What you're capable of. I like to see it for myself. He curled his lips into a particularly sinister smile. If you have the ability, show me what you're capable of. The man slowly walked towards Lin Yu. His aura, which was like a monstrous sea, spread outwards. In the face of this ocean-like aura, Lin Yu was like a small boat. All the man needed to do was stir the waves, and he would be completely annihilated. You? Lin Yu's elderly face drained of color as he stumbled back. Are you threatening me? It's not a threat, it's a warning. The man laughed maniacally. Scram. Otherwise, I'll make sure your blood splatters here and now. Lin Yu was so frightened that he almost wet his pants. Without waiting for the man to speak, he immediately scrambled out of the room. When he was 100 meters away from the man, he felt as if his life had been spared. A tiny fly almost dirted my clothes. The man raised his slender fingers and flicked at his clothes. His tightly furrowed brows were filled with disgust. His expression made it seem as if there were germs wherever Lin Yu had stood. Yun Luofeng raised his brows and stared at the seductive man with a forced smile. After a long pause, the man turned towards Yun Luofeng. His slightly raised brows were filled with a wild and domineering air. My name is Jiutian. Yun Luofeng narrowed her eyes. There's no need for me to introduce myself. I believe that you already know who I am. Ever since the man had guessed that she was the one who had brought the gold-seeking mice, she understood that he had known about her identity. Only the people of Endless City knew about these things. Even Lin Yu, who had been chased out of the Tower of Healing, would not know about the forces in her hands. The man laughed. His smile was so beautiful that it could cause the downfall of countries and cities. Yun Luofeng, the Tower Master of the Medical Tower, the current ruler of Endless City, a young girl who is not even 20 years old. The corners of Ji Jiutian's lips curled into a seductive smile once again. It's true that hearing about you is not as good as meeting you in person. I never thought that you would be as shameless as the rumors say. Yun Luofeng smiled and said, same to you. No matter how shameless I am, I can't compare to you. If it weren't for you accidentally revealing that you knew me, I don't know how long you would have hidden yourself. Huh, Ji Jiutian chuckled. Interesting. It's been a long time since I've been so interested in someone. As expected of that fellow's chosen successor, Yun Luofeng, I, Ji Jiuqian, haven't admired many people in my life. You're the second. His lips curled into a smile. So, I'm definitely making friends with you. The first person he had admired was the powerhouse Zhu Qian from 10,000 years ago. Zhu Qian, who had once stood at the peak of this mainland but had died an unknown death. Chapter 1140. I'll accept you as a friend. Yin Luofeng extended her hand with a devilish smile. Her black eyes were bright, so bright that Ji Jiutian's figure was reflected in them. One more friend meant one more way out. Moreover, Ji Jiutian's strength wasn't bad and his character didn't make her dislike him. So why wouldn't she accept him? Ji Jiutian held Yin Luofeng's hand, the smile on his beautiful face becoming even wider. Yin Luofeng, to tell you the truth, you don't seem like a woman. Yin Luofeng raised her eyebrows. You don't seem like a man either. Ji Jiutian's voice became sluggish, and he shook his head helplessly. This woman wouldn't be satisfied until she angered him to death, right? Tian Luo looked at the deflated Ji Jiutian in shock. His cold expression instantly cracked. Ever since he had followed Master, he had never seen Master suffer any losses. But now, he had suffered losses at Yin Luofeng's hands 3 times? This woman, could it be that she was used to restrain his master? Moreover, if it had been anyone else who dared to speak to his master like this, their corpse would have been long gone. But Yin Luofeng had survived. Tian Luo wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and looked at the unreasonable scene in front of him in disbelief. It's your first time here, so you probably don't have a place to stay. If you don't mind, you can stay in my courtyard. No need, I'll go find him myself. Yin Luofeng shook her head and rejected Ji Jiutian's good intentions. Ji Jiutian's lips curled up. Recently, the inn has run out of empty rooms. Even if you look for one, you won't be able to find a place to stay. Why don't you come to my place and stay for a few days? It would also be convenient for him to observe Zhu Qian's successor from a close distance. He wanted to see if this woman really had the ability to bring Zhu Qian's legacy to glory. Yin Luofeng fell silent. After a long time, she said helplessly, "Then I can only disturb you for a few days." Ji Jiutian, who had just suffered a setback at Yin Luofeng's hands, saw the young girl's helpless expression and his originally unresigned mood instantly calmed down. In fact, his mood had never been better. Tian Luo's sweat flowed more and more. He didn't know why, but he felt as if his master had changed into a different person. If he hadn't followed his master all the time, he would definitely have suspected that he had been replaced by someone else. Mississippi, Qing Yin cautiously pulled Yin Luofeng back. She looked at Ji Jiutian vigilantly and said, "We have just met this man. If we follow him, won't it be too unsafe?" Yin Luofeng faintly smiled. "Trust me, nothing will happen." It was indeed her first day meeting Ji Jiutian, but she had a very familiar feeling. Even she did not know where this feeling came from. However, she knew that Ji Jiutian would not hurt her. Otherwise, she wouldn't have made friends with someone she had just met. Qing Yin did not continue to speak, but little Mo's voice came from her soul. "Master, don't be bewitched by his beauty. This man looks like a coquettish slut. One look, and you can tell that he's not from a decent family. How can he compare to Yin Shao? Pure men like Yin Shao have long gone extinct. You mustn't throw away the watermelon to pick up the sesame seed." 3 black lines appeared on Yin Luofeng's forehead. Did she look like the kind of person who would abandon someone after using them? Moreover, his heart had already been occupied by Yin Shao. No one else could squeeze in. Little Mo seemed to have heard Yin Luofeng's voice and continued to speak. "You and Yin Shao have known each other for 5 or 6 years, but you still haven't given him a status. Even your first time was because you're trying to save Yin Shao. So, I can't help but worry." Chapter 1141. Yin Luofeng gently stroked his chin. Did she really look like someone who would abandon someone after using them? It looked like she really should get married to Yin Shao first. But what made her feel helpless was that she still didn't know where Yin Shao was. "Master, you've already eaten Yin Shao clean. Don't be the kind of beast that old master described you to be, who pulls up his pants and ignores people." If Yin Luofeng had met another man, he wouldn't have been so nervous. But the man in front of him was too strong. He was so strong that he couldn't see through his strength. How could he not be worried for Yun Xiao? What if this man took advantage of Yun Xiao's absence to steal from Master? As Yun Xiao's loyal protector, he had to remind Master at all times not to be bewitched by this flirtatious slut. After all, a good man like Yun Xiao was really extinct. Yun Luofeng didn't pay attention to Xiao and Mo. Instead, he was thinking that the next time he met Yun Xiao, he must get married first. Otherwise, everyone would think that she was the kind of beast that would pull up her pants and ignore people. Thinking about Yun Xiao's cold and perfect face, Yun Luofeng's lips couldn't help but curve slightly. After not seeing him for a few months, she really missed him. I wonder how Yun Xiao is doing recently. On another mainland, in a valley somewhere, a man seemed to feel the longing from afar. He raised his head and gazed at the azure sky. His cold face gradually melted and the corners of his lips curled up slightly. It's been almost a month. Based on Qin Yuan's speed, he should be reaching the continent of no return soon. In a luxurious mansion, a group of lavishly dressed maids rushed out when they saw Ji Jiuqian return. In an instant, they served tea and massaged his shoulders and back in one go. The division of labor was clear. Ji Jiuqian took the tea from the maid and took a small sip. He frowned and smashed the teacup in his hand on the ground. He spat out the tea in his mouth. Who brewed the tea today? There were too few tea leaves. It wasn't bitter enough. There was one less step in the brewing process. It wasn't fragrant enough. Also, who allowed you to boil the tea leaves from yesterday? I only drink fresh tea leaves. The maidservants were so frightened that they all knelt on the ground, trembling. Reporting to Master, the master in charge of brewing tea has temporarily returned to his hometown. This one has just been hired, so she has made a mistake. Please forgive her, Master. Forget it. I have a good temperament today, so I'll let him go. Ji Jiuqian relaxed his brows. Steward, send someone to tidy up the wing next to my room and arrange for Miss Yun to move in. Hearing this, the servant girls wiped the cold sweat from their foreheads. The master loved to drink tea. Every day, the first thing he did when he returned to the residence was to taste tea. However, the master was exceptionally picky. If he was dissatisfied with something, it wouldn't be as simple as a punishment. But why did Master let go of that tea maker so easily today? Was it because of the young lady that his master had brought back? The maidservants glanced at Yun Luofeng out of the corner of their eyes, and their eyes were filled with amazement. They had never seen such a beautiful woman before. Standing together with their master, they could truly be described as a perfect match, peerless in this world. Yun Luofeng smiled evilly. Ji Jiuqian, do you like to drink tea? Tea and wine. I can't do without either. Ji Jiuqian said arrogantly. Yun Luofeng smiled and didn't say anything else. He followed the steward. Qing Yin and the others also hurriedly followed beside Yun Luofeng, walking quickly towards the residence. Chapter 1142. It was night. The night was dark like water. Yun Luofeng had just pushed the door open when she saw Ji Jiuqian sitting in her room. He was holding a small wine glass in his hand and gently swirling it. Don't you know that there is a difference between men and women? What are you doing in my room in the middle of the night? She leaned against the door frame and looked at the man sitting in the room with a faint smile on her face. The man's clothes were half open, revealing his snow-white and attractive skin. Under the moonlight, his skin emitted a seductive light. It had to be said that this man really had the capital to charm people. Every frown and smile revealed his seductive nature. Is there a problem with your hand? Ji Jiuqian glanced at Yun Luofeng's right hand and raised his eyebrows. Yun Luofeng was stunned and subconsciously touched her palm. The smile on her face did not diminish. That day, because I forcefully increased my strength, it caused my right hand to be crippled. If her right hand had only been seriously injured and crippled, with her medical skills, she would have been able to cure it 100%. However, this was the result of forcefully increasing her strength. Even little Mo might not have a way to cure it. I know something that can cure your arm. Ji Jiuqian glanced at Yun Luofeng. The sacred water of the sacred maiden clan can reconstruct your tibia. Your arm can also be healed without treatment. Sacred water? Yin Luofeng was stunned. Hearing these two words, she suddenly remembered the sacred water that she had obtained from Lin Ruobai's father. They were both sacred water, but she knew clearly that the sacred water in her hands did not have the ability to reconstruct tibia. Where's the Sacred Maiden Clan? Yin Luofeng asked with a frown. Aren't there people from the Sacred Maiden Clan by your side? Ji Jiuqian slowly stood up and smiled evilly. That's all I have to say. If you want to cure your arm, you can only rely on your own efforts. I won't help you. He would only provide her with clues, but he would not help her. Yin Luofeng was just about to ask when Ji Jiutian's figure disappeared into thin air. In the quiet room, only the sound of the night breeze could be heard. As for the seductive man who had just been sitting in the room, it was as if he had never appeared. Little Amo, what is the origin of this Sacred Maiden Clan? Yin Luofeng gently stroked her chin and pondered for a while before asking. After a long time, Little Mo's voice came from his soul. I've heard of the Holy Maiden tribe before. It's a very mysterious tribe. Anyone who was selected to enter the Sacred Maiden tribe was not allowed to marry. In the past, the Sacred Maiden tribe was very powerful. I don't know what the situation of the Sacred Maiden tribe is now, but I can tell you clearly that the Sacred Maiden tribe is not in the continent of No Hui. Little Amo, he said that someone from the Sacred Maiden tribe is beside me. Do you know who he's talking about? This. Little Mo hesitated for a moment. Master, if you want to cure your arm, you don't necessarily need the holy water of the Sacred Maiden tribe. I have other ways to help you as long as you give me time. In this world, there's nothing I can't do. Little Mo's voice was full of confidence. He clearly did not want Yin Luofeng to have dealings with the Sacred Maiden tribe. Yin Luofeng naturally understood the meaning behind his words. He smiled and said, You don't want me to go find the Holy Maiden tribe? Yes, Little Mo answered honestly. Those people from the Sacred Maiden tribe are very inexplicable. If they take a fancy to you and want you to join the Sacred Maiden tribe, what will happen to Yin Xiao? Master, give me some time. I'll think of something. I will never let you deal with those people. Chapter 1143. As the doctor's meet was being held in the Chancellor's palace, the entire Chancellor's palace was bustling with noise and excitement. Yin Luofeng had just walked into the main hall of the Chancellor's palace when he saw Lin Yu, who was beaming from ear to ear. Lin Yu also saw Yin Luofeng. A vicious glint flashed across his eyes, and his lips curled into a mocking smile. Yin Luofeng, I never thought that you would dare to come here. Since you're now on my territory, you'll soon have no response from heaven or earth. He gritted his teeth in hatred. Thinking about what Yin Luofeng had done to him, he wanted to tear her to pieces. Unfortunately, Yin Luofeng was holding on to the invitation, so he could not chase this woman out. Yin Luofeng. Just then, a cold voice rang out from beside Yin Luofeng. As he turned his head, he saw a woman dressed in green walking towards him. This woman couldn't be considered a devastatingly beautiful woman, but she gave off an exceptionally comfortable feeling. Her beauty was a little special, and her fine black hair cascaded down her shoulders like a waterfall. She had a friendly and polite smile on her face, and her eyes were bright and full of expression. Qing Mu glanced at the woman walking towards Yin Luofeng and said in a low voice, She's Princess Qing Shuang from the Flowing Moon Empire. Who would have thought that she would also participate in this doctor's conference? Princess Qing Shuang? Yin Luofeng was stunned for a moment before he remembered who this Princess Qing Shuang was. She had sent someone to congratulate him on his second uncle's wedding. That was how Yin Luofeng had found out about the legendary Princess Qing Shuang. Princess Qing Shuang smiled. That day, I wanted to see you personally, but something came up and I could only send someone. I hope you don't mind. She paused for a moment before continuing. This time, I knew that you would definitely come to participate in the doctor's conference, so I also came here to see you. See me? Yin Luofeng raised his eyebrows, and his lips curled into a smile. Why do you want to see me? Princess Qing Shuang smiled. I just want to know what kind of person the woman who was in the limelight at the international competition is. Now that I've met her, she's exactly what I imagined. Just as the two of them were talking, a laugh came from the side. Princess Frost, I didn't expect you to see Miss Yin first. I'm still one step behind you." As soon as he finished speaking, the man walked out from behind the crowd. He was dressed in a brocade robe, looking handsome and confident. His eyes were full of smiles. "Your Majesty and Lawn." Greenwood nodded towards Lawn. Lawn nodded and turned his gaze to Yun Luofeng. "Missy, in long time no see." He had a smile on his face as his gaze fell on Yun Luofeng. This man was the prince of the peerless empire, Lawn, whom he had met in the International League tournament. At the same time, he was also the one who helped Qing Mu and the others escape from the Tianhui Empire. To be honest, Yun Luofeng did not have much feelings for Lawn. In comparison, Princess Frost made her feel more comfortable. "Everyone, welcome to the medical conference organized by my family." Lin Yu coughed dryly and cleared his throat before saying, "I'll be holding the medical conference for everyone, and I'll be distributing the fruit of the soul to everyone at the end." In other words, he was the one who could make the decision for this medical conference. Yun Luofeng and Ji Jiutian had offended him, so they would never be able to get the fruit of the soul in this lifetime. Chapter 1144. The funny thing was, he still didn't know the reason. The reason why he could host this medical conference was because of Ji Jiutian's secret. It was precisely because he knew nothing. That was why he made an irreparable mistake in the end. Our Ji clan's clan leader respects doctors the most. That's why he held this medical conference this time around. His goal is to unearth peerless geniuses from doctors. However, if he doesn't care about the matters of the outside world, as long as you are a doctor, you will receive an invitation from him. As a result, some people will be able to sneak through and participate in the medical conference with that kind of virtue. As Lin Yu spoke, his eyes kept drifting towards Yun Luofeng. Clearly, the person he was talking about was Yun Luofeng. Everyone's eyes turned towards Lin Yu in unison when they recalled his fight with Yun Luofeng on the street. Their eyes were filled with sympathy and pity. Offending Lin Yu is equivalent to offending the Ji family. This young girl's days from now on will not be easy. "What? Did you offend someone from the Ji family?" Lan raised his eyebrows and looked at Yun Luofeng with a faint smile. "It seems that you really get into trouble easily. First, you offended the Tianhui Empire in the tournament, and now you offended the Ji family here. It seems that no matter where you go, you will make a group of enemies." Yun Luofeng shrugged his shoulders, his face filled with helplessness. "I don't want to be enemies with anyone, but this group of people just likes to find me." Her voice was neither soft nor soft, and it fell right into everyone's ears. Lin Yu grew increasingly furious as he glared daggers at Yun Luofeng. In the eyes of those who did not know the truth, they would think that Yun Luofeng had an irreconcilable blood feud with him. At this moment, the entire hall fell silent. Everyone's gaze turned towards the door, towards the man with peerless elegance. This man was so beautiful that it made people's hearts beat faster. There was a cinnabar up between his eyebrows, and he was extremely enchanting. His clothes were half open, and his snow-white skin was like white jade that emitted a pure white light. It was extremely dazzling. In the hall, the eyes of the unmarried women were filled with amazement. They stared at the peerless man like hungry wolves. If it weren't for the fact that they wanted to maintain their composure, they might have already pounced on him. The man ignored everyone's gaze and walked to Yun Luofeng's side. "Why didn't you wait for me?" His long and narrow eyes stared unblinkingly at Yun Luofeng as he asked. Yun Luofeng smiled. "Why should I wait for you?" Ji Jiutian's voice suddenly disappeared. Helplessness could be seen on his beautiful face. He did take her in, but she came to participate in the doctor's conference without saying a word, completely abandoning him. All the women glared angrily at Yun Luofeng when they saw the interaction between the two. Their eyes were filled with jealousy and hatred. His expression was like he wished he could stare 2 holes into Yun Luofeng's face. Let's see how she can seduce men in the future. Lin Yu's expression is very ugly. She glared coldly at Yun Luofeng and Gu Riyun before turning away. The corners of her lips curled into a mocking angle as she said, "Today, the Ji family has invited all of you to participate in the medical conference. I hope that unrelated people can leave as soon as possible." He didn't say this to Yun Luofeng. Instead, he looked at the gorgeous Ji Jiutian. Yin Luofeng had the invitation in his hand, and he was helpless. Could it be that he couldn't chase this man away? No matter how strong he was, he didn't have the guts to go against the Ji family in public. Chapter 1145. Ji Jiutian raised his lips into a smile. He flicked his sleeves and sat down in front of everyone. His enchanting red robe fluttered in the breeze. He supported half of his face with his fist, and there was an indescribable charm between his slightly raised eyebrows. Today, I will stay here. I want to see who dares to leave with me. The man's voice was wild and domineering. His sharp gaze slowly swept across the crowd before finally landing on Lin Yu. He raised his brow and said, "You're just a little ant, yet you have the audacity to act so insolently in front of me. I am from Ji clan." Lin Yu straightened his neck and said unyieldingly, "If you attack me, you'll be making an enemy out of the Ji family. Are you really not afraid of death?" Ji family? Ji Jiutian smiled. If not for the fact that he wanted to leave this old man for Yin Luofeng, perhaps he would have already made him bleed on the spot. "You can scare me just by moving out of Ji family?" The man slightly raised his slender hand. At that moment, Lin Yu felt his breathing stagnate. It was as if the man could strangle him to death with just a raise of his hand. "Get lost and host the meeting." The man's red lips parted, and his voice was incomparably domineering. In fact, it was clear that he did not place the Ji family in his eyes at all. Everyone was shocked. They were all trying to guess what kind of identity this man had to be able to make him say such arrogant words. Lin Yu glared at Ji Jiutian resentfully and walked to his seat. But before he could sit down, he was interrupted by the man's cold and arrogant voice. "Get lost." Lin Yu paused in his steps and turned to glare at the man angrily. "What else do you want? That's my position. You don't have the right to do it." The corners of Ji Jiutian's lips curled up into a bloodthirsty smile. A streak of blood-red light flashed across his black eyes for a moment before disappearing. "Don't go overboard." Lin Yu was so angry that her entire body was trembling. This is the Ji family's territory. The Chancellor's residence in the Spirit City had already been bought by the Ji family for the sake of today's medical event. Hence, in Lin Yu's mind, the highest seat in the hall should naturally belong to him. "You're not worthy." Those three arrogant words caused Lin Yu's face to turn deathly pale. He had only been humiliated twice in his life. The first time was in the medical tower. He had been chased out of the medical tower by Yin Luofeng in front of everyone. The second time was now. Without waiting for Lin Yu to recover from his rage, the man flicked his sleeves and rose to his feet. His figure was like a ray of red light as he instantly appeared on the high seat. Her red robe was extremely enchanting and stunning. His hand was still supporting his head. His long and narrow eyes flashed with a blood-red light as he slowly opened his mouth under everyone's gaze. "I'm just here to join the fun. You guys continue. I'll just watch and won't say anything." The pressure that this man gave off was too strong. Under this kind of pressure, they couldn't help but sweat profusely. No one actually dared to open their mouths. The entire hall was so quiet that only the sound of his breathing could be heard. Lin Yu clenched his fists tightly as he sat down on the lower seat unwillingly. A vicious glint flashed across his cold eyes. After the meeting ended, the patriarch would appear, and as long as the patriarch appeared, it would be the time of this man's death. It was better to let him have his way for now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the medical event organized by the Ji family. Lin Yu smiled insincerely as he said, "The Ji family has set up countless questions for the sake of this meeting. Those questions have been pasted on the wall, and you can answer them later on. The more questions you answer, the more likely you are to become the cream of the crop."